Dude, Grok is pretty good at intros. Today, we're stoked to have Brant Moore, a BMX lifer from Wooster, Ohio, who's been shredding and sharing his passion since 2006. Through his YouTube channel, Brant drops daily videos packed with riding, tips, and BMX news, building a bridge between riders and the scene. He's a creative force, a community advocate, and a rider who keeps it real. Let's dive in. That's pretty good. I think if you're watching this, you probably know who Brant Moore is, and you've probably seen some of his YouTube channel. And it's just like we've been adjacent parallel for a while, and then now we converged. And I wasn't sure how it would go, but we talked for 6 hours. I did his, he did mine, and 6 hours flew by pretty quick. So I think that, that says something. And I'm not happy. He's smart, is what I was going to say. I was happy to report that he's very smart and easy to talk to and knows his stuff. And, he's quirky. He's a weirdo, but aren't we all? And I think it's in this one or in the episode that's on his channel, but he pranked everybody by saying he got a haircut and then didn't get a haircut. And I was low-key excited when I thought he was getting a haircut. So I think that thing's that piece of hair is gonna just be there forever, but he likes it, and that's all that matters. I got a haircut. Speaking of haircuts, I hope you like mullets. I know you can't hear it on the podcast, but I do have a mullet, so my attitude's a little bit different, and I'm pretty dope, dude. Would you please like the video, share the show with a friend? If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave a review. And we did a contest to give away this gold VX, or another gold VX that's over there. And the winner was Mark Wheeler. It was 89 tapes, which I have stacked up right here. I guess you could see them. I was kind of disappointed. I thought I broke 100 filming mediocre, but 89 hours of footage is a lot. And if somebody wants to come and take all these tapes and put them in a safe place somewhere, that would be cool. I have a big old Tupperware container of tapes in my laundry room that I guess, I don't know. It'll be something someday. Okay, cool. Now I'm rambling. We got Brant Moore on the show. You're going to enjoy it. Let's just get right into it. Let's just do it, man. Here's Brant Moore.
Why is your name Kanode Knows? You don't know shit.
No.
Hey, cool green screen.
Thanks.
I didn't realize that it was your wall.
Yeah. I painted the wall because my old setup, whenever I lived at my parents' house, was a fabric green screen that I would put up and take down. And so when we moved in here and I have an office, it was like, I am never doing that again.
Fuck yeah, dude. This is smart. I think everybody who's producing content should have one wall that's green because it's more valuable than just cutting. I think with AI and shit, you can cut people out pretty easily now. But it's like the streaming shit where you can be on the side and showing what the green screen through OBS. Is that what you use? OBS?
Yeah.
That's a whole beast, man.
It opens up. It's just another tool in the toolbox. Having a green screen gives you another option for whatever you might make.
For real. And it's a cool, distinguished look you've got going on. When you said we moved in here, who's we?
My girlfriend and I. And
nice.
About 30 geckos that are in this room.
30 geckos?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What other animals you got?
That's it.
Just 30 geckos. No dogs, no cats, no.
We had a squirrel for a few days, but it decided to leave. It was living in somewhere.
How does one become a gecko guy? Are you a gecko guy or is your girl a gecko girl?
I'm the gecko guy. Honestly, it all started with my best friend that I've had since 7th grade. He had one. We went to his house one day and I was holding it and I was like, yo, I want one of these.
No, you said, yo, I want 30 of these.
Yeah, I mean, this was all the way back in 2016. And I got a couple more. I was like, oh, these things are easy to breed. And it's kind of cool. And then didn't really mess with it. Then we moved here and he got back into it and it got me back into it. And I don't even want to tell you how much money I spent on geckos in 2023.
How much money did you spend on geckos in 2023?
between 7 and 10 grand.
Holy shit.
I know, it was bad. And right now I'm like, why did I do that? I could use that money.
There gotta be some pretty cool geckos, dude. If I wanted to go get a gecko right now, I could. What does it cost? What's the starter kit for a new gecko?
I'll sell you one right now. I'll send you the box with it.
You can ship them? Yeah, I guess you can ship them, huh?
Yeah, it's overnight shipping.
Nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the cost?
So with shipping's anywhere between $50 and $75. So probably like $150. Get you a gecko and a little thing to have it in until it gets too big. And that's cool. Just like the lowest level. Yeah. They go up from there.
That's dope. My girl's got, I think, 3 little frogs, and it's just interesting to pet or like hold something that's not a nice fluffy dog. It's like, you're a creature. Like,
yeah, you don't care at all about me.
Yeah, for real. I had to feed her frog. She went out of town, and the fucker like jumped, hit my face, and then falls to the ground and is making a great escape. And I'm fucking trying to grab it, and it's slippery and shit. My heart rate's fucking through the roof. I was like, dude, it's a different type of. I never got into the is gecko amphibian or amphibian?
Gecko's reptile, frog would be amphibian.
Cool. And now you know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've been into geckos and reptiles and like all that stuff since I was a little kid.
Cool. That's what's up. It's like it's different, but it's also not that different. It's cool. I would expect you to have one dog. You know what I'm saying? Have you considered a dog?
No, honestly. And the main reason is I just cannot stand when I'm out somewhere and we're riding and hanging out with people and they're like, oh, we got to leave. And then they use their dog as the reason. Like,
yeah,
got to go let the dog out. And I'm like, no, you just wanted to leave.
Yeah.
and that's fine. That's cool. That's totally cool. But the big reason is that this house had people living in it for over 50 years and they had cats and whatever. And so before we moved in, the people that own it had to just totally redo this house.
Yeah, because the smell.
Yeah, it was terrible. And so I was like, I'm not going to even press you guys worrying about more animals in here and ruining it again.
Nice. Fucking A. What all are you doing to make a living right now?
So I guess if you boil it all down, it is technically all stemming from YouTube, between my own stuff and then the part-time video job that I do for a farm tractor manufacturer, where I'm making their videos, editing, uploading, running their YouTube channel.
Yeah, which is a lot of work. Like, it sounds easy. Just do the YouTube for them. It's like, if you break it down, there's a lot of shit to do.
Yeah, and a little bit of Google ads and planning different types of marketing and things here and there.
Sick.
With that. Yeah. It's a really crazy insight, not only into stuff that like I didn't know anything about in terms of Google ads and print marketing and just mindsets behind those things, but then also how it translates over in the overlap between the BMX industry and making a BMX bike and making a tractor. And when we're talking about all these different things, I almost feel like I kind of can be a part of the conversation and know what they're talking about a little bit, at least be educated.
For sure. Which, when you're talking about, if you're standing around the tractor people and you have experience in BMX, so you feel like you can like relate there, or the vice versa, you know, tractor stuff. And then when people are talking BMX production, you can hang there.
I mean, at this point, it's a little bit of both because I've learned about more with the tractor stuff. But I was meaning with when I'm around the tractor people and they're talking about, oh, we're looking to source this from here, or we're working with different manufacturers to get these parts and pieces made.
Right. Yeah. It all kind of, it's all, every industry, it's all the same, whether it's like a product or a service. You get your thing that has value and then you sell it and you have to market it. And then that's Google ads. And man, like one thing that's been on my list to learn is the Facebook ads. Like I've never run a Facebook ad. I've created hundreds of them, but I've never actually been the one to like press, go live or whatever the fuck. And it seems like, it almost seems like scam. Just not, it's not a scam, but the dudes who like act like gurus who are like, I know how to fucking optimize your ROAS, your return on ad spend, and
Yep.
I'm just like, I don't know if there's that much to it. I'm sure there's some special sauce, but I think that it's just like, it's like a older person asking a younger person to like fix the internet, and then they just unplug it and plug it back in, and, you know, and they're like, wow, I can't believe you did that. It's like, I think
Yep.
that's kind of a little bit what it is, but I could be eating my words when I start learning that shit.
It's tough because with Facebook, even with Google, if you don't have it set up right, if you don't have a way for it to track what it's actually doing, then you really can't know what comes from it. And I oftentimes feel the same way when it comes to like YouTube guru type people, where they're all saying like the same stuff. And they're like, if you buy my course, I'll help you with this and that. But when you break it down, if you watch enough of their videos, you get all of the information that they're giving you. It's just the course is giving you it in one place. And then oftentimes too, they'll say stuff that feels like, through my experience with YouTube, that it's just not true. Like every time I hear tags don't matter on YouTube, I'm like, you guys are steering people in the wrong direction from the start.
Yeah. It's like tags are there. It's like they're telling people, don't worry about it. It's like, no, you should do it. What if it does work? And then the other piece for me is like those people, dude, working for Jamil, he bought us a $15,000 YouTube course called Channel Jumpstart. And
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Daryl Eves. And it was, I like Daryl, and the live calls were cool, and the like Discord that I got to join was pretty cool. And if we put the effort, it all boils down to like, it's like make good content, and then part of that is like good script and good topics to choose and being consistent and all that. And at the end of the day, like it felt like it feels like a lot of people are out there just looking for some magic button. Like if I put this word in the description, it'll optimize blah blah blah, and it's like, no, just make good shit, and then the people will come. It's a hustle, dude. It's crazy.
It is absolutely a hustle. I could break the YouTube formula down in just a few steps. It's honestly not super difficult. The most difficult part to it is holding yourself accountable to actually doing it. Like, you have your idea, you have your niche that you're trying to make videos about. The blueprint is you figure out what you want to do, and then you do research for people who are in that same space. Then you take your research and you make 10 videos. This is exactly what Daryl told you. You make 10 videos, and then when you make those 10 videos, you don't post them. Then once you make the 10th one, you go back to the first one and either redo it or re-edit it because you realize how bad it probably was. And then you start to post them, and you got, if you do one a week, you got 10 weeks of videos. Then as you're posting those, you see how they do, and then you find the ones that do the best and the concepts that work, and then you repeat the steps.
Yeah, and there's your bucket.
Yeah.
Have you heard that term? The bucket?
Nate Black. Is it? What's his last name? It's
I don't know.
The guy with the curly hair
came up with the term, the bucket. Yeah, fucking buckets, dude. I was like, what are we bringing jargon into this for? Just types of videos, you know? Well, we're gonna pick 4 buckets for you, okay? Thanks for the $15,000. That is a good breakdown, and I think that the piece that's missing, for at least in my experience, a lot of the dudes that I've worked with, is just like the research. They don't want to do that. They want to turn the camera on and talk and then be famous. And it's like, you have to do something. You either have to be like supernaturally like entertaining with a fun personality, or do the research and like actually have something valuable in your video. I was going through some videos of yours, and a week ago you posted, can you make a living in BMX? I'm curious about I didn't make it all the way through. But not because I got bored. I had to get ready for this, but
it's okay if you got bored.
I'm curious about like research, for example, on that one. Like, where do you, so you broke down, you know, companies are paying $100 to $500 a month for a pro rider. What was your research process for something like that?
I mean, when it comes to BMX videos, as people who've been in BMX for so long, the experience that you have is your research.
That's true. Yeah.
Segments where like once you get to the space where you're like talking with company owners or riders who ride for companies, you hear what people are getting paid just through talking with them, and then my own personal experience with that too. And so, I mean, that's kind of the research stage. It's
Yeah,
just
you
the
don't need to do it. Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
It's not like that data's out there somewhere on the internet to find.
Exactly. And if you tried to find it, you'd be in fragmented places where you're like diving through people's Instagram threads and all this other crazy stuff that, so like that in that video too wasn't necessarily meant to be like a informational type video on that, as much as it was me realizing throughout the years that how many people just hope and dream for something to happen for them in BMX, but never actually take an active approach to making that thing happen. And it was like the realization of, I mean, Nick Bruce actually commented on it yesterday and said, I don't know if anyone has made a living from fully endemic sponsors since like the mid 2000s. I would say that's probably accurate, except for maybe 5 to 10 people at the very top. And I cut that out of the video because I had like me saying a guess of a number. And I was like, I don't want anybody to call me on that because that's not the point of this one. Yeah. But he said that, I mean, it's Nick Bruce, he would know. And so it was more or less me just trying to get people to understand, like, you got to make this stuff happen on your own, and also not fully look in the BMX world, because for most people, getting your bike and your clothes and some, if you're lucky, shoes is the top of what the glass ceiling of what's possible.
That's it, brother. That's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow right there. You know, it's crazy.
It saves you money, you know, because you're not having to buy it, but like that, you can't pay your bills with a set of cranks.
It's tough because like I know exactly what you're saying. There's a couple local dudes here that just for years were like, I'm gonna fucking make it. And I'm like, having been that kid who was like, I'm gonna make it, and then you kind of see the ones who have made it and look at their life and what they're making and just like the way they're living, and it's like, oh, you know, and it's just it's almost like a part of the maturing process as a BMX rider is like going through that, feeling that like almost disappointment of like that big thing you had in your head of like this magical industry that you could make a living if you just get enough eyeballs on you or whatever. And then you realize, oh, I guess if I'm going to keep doing this, I must really like doing it. You have to do it for the sake of doing it. And then you can like obviously make the most out of it and be a professional. And if you want to be sponsored, fucking do it and do it right. But it's not the, you know, I've said it so many times on this, just there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And it's a beautiful journey. Take the rainbow, realize there's no pot of gold, and then either go ride the rainbow more or move on, you know?
Right. I think that's why we see so many people who like the industry chooses, for lack of a better term, I use that, because there's definitely people that you see a company really trying to push, and then it seems like that'll happen for a little bit with some people, and some of them do great and become a huge name that everybody loves, and some of them end up falling to the wayside. And I think part of that is the realization of the reality of you can't really make a living just off of being a BMX rider from BMX companies. And then also these people who are putting all this work into it, and then you get to that point and you're like, oh shit, I'm only gonna make $500 for that, for like killing myself in this edit. And
the risk versus reward is insane, actually insane. You could die, you could fucking become paralyzed for $500 a month.
Yeah, and that's why I've been recently pushing the whole concept of like finding other ways to show your value as a rider to the companies that you work with. And it doesn't have to all be the craziest, most risky tricks ever. You can take a day out of your month or a year to make something that will help the company or help bring more eyes to BMX without it having to be that edit.
Exactly. And I think it's interesting to think about, because it's almost like it's ripe for that. Because how many fucking 3-minute only riding videos with music over it can one person watch? Like I think there's a big blue ocean for just content outside of just riding hardcore, you know? Like I've been loving, like our BMX started doing the same thing as Hallowed Ground as Dig did.
Yeah.
And they might have gotten it from somebody, who knows. I'm not saying anything, like they're whatever. Like it's cool to see. And that type of content I really like. I want to do one for Deck Park and then see what comes from it. But it's that the history of BMX you could do. Like if I'm a kid right now, personality's missing. So like the Bottle Kids doing skits is very refreshing to see.
Oh, so good.
They just won the little contest we did at the Mediocre premiere and got $1,000 cash, which fucking, they come from out of town and fucking take our cash money prize.
That's awesome.
So yeah, skits. And what else? What other type of content? Like how-tos are good. Like just become a YouTuber, you know? Like what are your buckets? What are some buckets you would recommend?
I mean, even that, like whenever I talk about this stuff, it seems like people might interpret that as like me saying to become a YouTuber or do what I'm doing. But the reality is there's so many different things that could be done in anybody's own way of doing it. Like
exactly, yeah.
Like doing, if you want to do how-tos, that's fine, but also a spot history, or you take the Substrata channel that guy has been making fully trails focused videos on YouTube. And he did like if you've seen any of the Ryan Navazio, like really high production value stuff he's been doing in the trails recently, it's kind of similar to that in that he was making really high quality trails videos that were really well filmed, really well put together. And then he just recently released a video where he was talking about underrated trails videos or riders or something along those lines. I was like, this guy found this niche within BMX that's kind of underserved, and it doesn't even have to be on YouTube for that matter. I mean, if we're just talking about a rider bringing value to themselves or showing their value, it can be just working to connect bike shops and your sponsor, or if organizing events that can bring more people out. I think the biggest problem is that people only think with or see what's directly in front of them rather than thinking on a bigger picture, because BMX and a lot of other industries, and even in cycling outside, whatever, are really selling to people who already have bikes.
Yeah.
They're selling to people who already have the thing. And that's exactly what the edit is and does. It's like, it's crazy edit, but at the end of the day, it's kind of just entertainment for most people. And it makes you a fan even more here and there, and it might influence your decision later, but there's not really much out there that gets to people who don't even ride at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no new eyes on you try and show, like Mediocre at Best is the thing that's on my mind because we just premiered it. But like, you know, my mom comes and it's an hour and 20 minutes of bike tricks. It's just like, thanks for, you know, sitting through this. I appreciate you. I know this is definitely not for you. For somebody who likes BMX, that's the move. But on the note of like, you know, kids here do something more and then automatically think YouTube. You're right. It's not YouTube. It's almost inevitably going to be some sort of media. Like it could be videos, it could be photos, it could be on any platform, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Like choose your weapon. But then you brought up, which I just talked with Mr. Montana Ricky about, and he basically did that. He was like, I can be of value to a bike company and make as much as the pros make without being a pro, and fully did it and just was loud. And the way he got into sales at Merit when he first started that, when he told the story, he was just loudly selling Merit stuff in their inner bike suite without being asked to or whatever, and just left a good impression. And then bada bing, bada boom. It's you can be a good ambassador for BMX without being the best rider ever. Just be like, and it takes a certain kind of personality to pull off kind of what Ricky's done. But there's more ways than just media is what I'm saying. You could do sales, you could do like events, like you said. Like I don't know, it's to just be good at riding and then sit back and be like, well, pay me now.
You just wait on that phone call or that DM. It's like, all right, we're going to pay you now. It's very unlikely that it's ever going to come if that's the way that you approach it. And
exactly.
And even outside of media events, whatever, it's like there is no set specific way that it has to be done. And we also recognize at the same time that not everybody, like there's room in BMX for a Jordan Hango who doesn't really have Instagram or social media that much. And just every year or so, we see this insane edit. Like, yeah, there's room for those people, but there's got to be like different ways for that person to have the value. And that's Jordan's crazy edit that makes someone maybe want his frame or his signature parts. And all of it can exist.
Yeah.
And it all should exist. And the way I talk about things, I don't mean that any one specific thing is only it. It's like just being open to finding that avenue instead of just doing I'm just going to be a good rider. I'm going to sit back and wait on somebody to pay me.
Yeah. That's not what BMX can do for you, but what you can do for BMX.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Oh, shit. I'd say jokingly, but that shit applies. This episode is brought to you by DanceComp. Yo, BMX bandits, tired of rocking that crusty tee from 98 and shorts that scream, I ate it hard? DanceComp's got your back with gear so fresh it'll make your bike blush. Back in the day, like 1986, founder Dan Handfling kicked this off from his garage, shipping parts to shredders nationwide. Now, we're the online mail order kings. Hit dancecomp.com today for threads that slap harder than a tail whip. DanceComp, keeping you fly since pegs were a new idea. That's cool. Were pegs a new idea in 1986? Whatever. Cool. Thanks, DanceComp. Use promo code Kanode for 15% off. This episode is brought to you by Unity Ride Shop. Unity Ride Shop is off 43rd Avenue in Bethany Home here in Phoenix, Arizona. They also have an online store. And if you go to unityrideshop.com and use promo code Kanode, you're going to get 20% off your order. That's brand new. As of 20 minutes ago, I got my name as a promo code. Let's fucking go, boys. Go to Unity Ride Shop, either in person or online, and get yourself some stuff. All right, this episode is brought to you by Burn Slow. Hey, you. Yeah, the one with the scuffed kicks and that shirt older than your last crash. Burn Slow's here to save your wardrobe from the dirt jumps of despair. We're talking threads so fresh they'll make your BMX crew jealous. Rugged tees, ironic hoodies, and pants that won't rip when you bail. Stop dressing like a ramp reject and hit burnslow.co now to snag some fresh as hell gear. Burn Slow, because your style shouldn't flatline midair. Huh?
And I just shared a thing on Instagram today because I had the realization when I saw that post with Kyle Carlson and Mike Spinner talking about the cash that Spinner is going to be giving to people for these USA BMX freestyle things.
Mm-hmm.
He's given away a lot of money. And when you think back to Mike Spinner in his prime and actually riding a lot, he was hated on so much by so many people. And here he is today. He fell out of riding. Now he has a ramp in his backyard, and I'm sure he's riding it here and there, and he's giving tons and tons of money away. Yeah, he's super successful, so it's easier for him to do that. But like this dude who was shit on by so many people. Yeah, exactly. He was shit on by so many people, could have walked away, taken his super successful company and be like, sorry, BMX, you guys were dicks to me, so I'm not helping you at all. No, he's giving back to it, where most of the people who did the shitting on Mike Spinner probably can't even afford to give back to BMX like that.
Yeah. What a mysterious, I don't know what his company is. Do you?
EVL, the nutrition, the supplement company.
Oh shit.
That's Spinner. He started that.
Damn.
Yeah, like it's huge. And
I'd be giving away money too, dude. That's great. Good for
absolutely. Him. That's like my whole goal in life is to get successful enough to do crazy stuff.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's kind of where my eyes are now too. Like it's been work on these massive video projects, and then now I'm not going to do another big one, and I'm like, okay, I can shift priority to something else and put that much effort into it. And you ever think, like, if you put this much effort that you've put throughout the years into literally any other industry, that you'd be doing fairly well financially compared to BMX?
It almost feels like it'd be impossible not to be
Yeah,
doing really well with
100%.
that much effort. But at the same time, when it's not what you're in love with doing, you may have never even been willing to put that effort in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I would have put this effort in regardless of the financials, obviously. But
Exactly. I would be doing what I do if literally nobody watched.
yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if that's a deeper philosophical question of like, what do we choose our, like, is it free will that we're like, okay, I like BMX, or did we happen to be influenced by a video or the friend down the street that had a bike and then something clicked, you know, like what if that first spark for BMX never happened, and then fuck, you ever think about that? I'm just like, dude, I could be like a life insurance salesman in Fairfax, Virginia if we never moved out of Virginia when I was young. Like, you know what I mean? It's trippy to think about, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I used to tell people that I was going to be a professional fisherman. Like,
hell yeah,
that would be a thing. That we had a camper down with some land, and the neighbors down there they had a pond, and I would drive the 4-wheeler down there, and I would walk circles around this pond all day long, just fishing in this pond.
Hell yeah, with a gecko in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, I'd be down there looking for snakes and whatever. And
yeah. I'm saying, like, you reach the level that you're at in particular, and like if you became a fisherman YouTuber, I think the potential to, like, the amount of people that are into fishing,
it's insane. It's way higher
versus the amount of people that are into BMX, man. It's a trip, but
I
don't know.
Though. I have a outdoors YouTube channel, and I'd have to plug in. It's old hard drives because it's all on there these days. But I probably have 20 fishing videos filmed that nice. I just never edited. And it's because I was so heavily into my BMX YouTube channel. And yeah, I love fishing, but like, I just couldn't make the time because the priority and the passion for BMX was higher than that for the fishing. But yeah. I have a Gecko YouTube channel now too.
Like, hell yeah, dude, let's go.
You take the skills that you learn from one thing and then try to apply that to other things.
Has it been, successful? Successful is an odd word. Have you made a decent amount of money from YouTube?
Yeah, I will. You know what? Let's be totally transparent. I'll tell you how much I've made in my whole YouTube career from YouTube.
Let me guess. Wait, how many years have you been doing it?
I started this channel in July of 2015, so it's almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was before YouTube had their like partner requirements, whatever. They just let anybody make money on YouTube.
Sick, yeah. That's like pre-adpocalypse, right?
Oh yeah, way before that. Way before.
All right, my guess, lifetime, 10 years, 300 grand.
I wish. This is probably gonna shock some people who think like, oh, you just make all this money on YouTube. In my whole entire 10 years on YouTube, I've made $53,000.
Fuck yeah, that's not nothing. It's so weird because it's like, yeah, it's not that much, but it's also $53K from making videos and putting them online. You know
exactly,
what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And I recognized when I was making my channel the point of, there was like a few things driving me in it. It was that I realized I was already making and filming more stuff for like Instagram videos than you could put on Instagram because it was 15-second limit. And so I just realized like, oh, I could make these longer videos and post those on YouTube. And then I'm like, well, I don't see anybody uploading 15-second videos to YouTube. I'll just post all of my Instagram clips I've ever made to YouTube, which I was like,
you invented shorts.
I was like 8 years ahead, but they all got converted to shorts, which is funny. But so I did that. I uploaded 600 videos as the starting point for my channel. And then just slowly started to get to where I'm at with it today. But I recognized from the very start, like, yes, I love doing this and I'll do it forever if I never make any money. But there is an opportunity here, and that opportunity would alleviate me ever worrying about money from the BMX industry or getting cut off from money from the BMX industry because I was really driven that there's a lot of stuff in BMX that people aren't allowed to talk about. This is 10 years ago. And I'm like, dude, somebody needs to talk about this stuff. So if I make a YouTube channel and I don't rely on the BMX industry to pay me, then I can talk about it. And it's Google paying me. I don't have to worry about losing a sponsorship and be like, oh no, where's my money going to come from? Which is exactly what holds so many people back when it comes to talking about things.
Yep. For real. It's not fuck you money, but it's like,
it's a fuck you mentality though.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not good. Cancel me. I don't make any money from it anyways. So I'm still going to do this.
And the BMX industry is like a high school cafeteria. Like it's very small, and word goes around, and everybody's little gossip queens too. It's if something fucking juicy's happening, then fuck it, you better believe that all the group chats all around are fucking passing it around. Oh, did you see what Brant Moore talked about, dude? What? So when you say that at the beginning, 10 years ago, what's an example of something that you talked about? Oh yeah, that's
money. You couldn't talk about money. Like when you think about the feeble talk stuff that Ride BMX used to do, when money would come up, it would get shied away from, and it was like, oh, we can't talk about money. And well, we should talk about money, because this is how people are educated to be able to make the best for themselves that they can. And like, even when you talk about, and it's not just BMX, even when you talk about like your job, and you go, if you're working in a factory, there's no rules that say you can't talk about how much money you make. But for some reason, everyone acts like there's this rule where you're not allowed to talk about how much money you make. And I can see how people who watch my stuff would think all I care about is money. But like the reality of it is that money sustains passion, and all I care about is trying to make it and get people to understand that, so that they can try to sustain their passion of riding by making money from it.
Yeah.
If that's what they want.
I'm torn on this, because I think if you asked me 2 years ago, I would be 100% on board. Like, yeah, we should all just be transparent and talk about money. And I don't know what changed. I think I made more money, and then I was like, when it comes up and somebody else you work with makes less and you know it, and it's like, it's not tasteful to talk about it. But I like the push towards more transparency, I think, is valuable. And it's like, what's the point of shying away from it? You want to, like, if you think it through, like, okay, I don't want to talk about money because it'll make the bike company look bad, or it'll make the dream not as cool anymore, or I'm making, like if I'm Chad Curley and I'm getting paid $2,000 from one sponsor, but the sponsor's like, don't tell anybody because we're telling everybody else that 400 is the most we can do, type shit,
Yeah. And I don't want to ignore the fact that there is a line with this stuff. I'm not saying that like we need to erase the line and everything should be talked about all of the time. It's situation dependent, and it's just, my whole entire thing is just being reasonable about things. And if the reason for a company saying like, hey, don't talk about how much money you make is because it would be embarrassing because we only can pay you $100 a month, or it's because we're only paying everybody else $100 a month and then we're paying one person $2,000 a month, like maybe that should be talked about, so that one, we can have a realization of like the landscape of things, and like, oh, maybe we're paying too many people, and maybe we should really focus in on like what we're doing, or like whatever the reasoning might be. But it's like, if that's what it is, then maybe it should be known. But then there's other situations where it's like, well, maybe it shouldn't be. And I can't think of one of those off the top of my head, but it's really important for me to say something like that, because I do talk a lot in like absolutes and generally, and I recognize that, and I know it's because in my head it's like a line, and the fact that there is a line for these certain things is just a given in my head, and I think I just automatically assume that people would also realize like, I'm pushing for transparency, but yes, I also understand that maybe there should be a line, there should be certain things in certain times that we don't talk about.
I'm guilty of that too. The assumption that everybody else kind of gets it and is on the same level, but we got to spell it out. You know,
I get it. It's reality, and everybody's living in their own bubble and thinking about their own things, and so it is important to spell out exactly what your mindset and position might be on something, so that there doesn't have to be any assumptions.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it is what it is. And then the more you talk on the internet, it's just there. And then, 5 years goes by and then somebody watches it and has a strong opinion on it. And fucking next thing you know, fucking hot water. But I haven't quite reached the point where the advice when you get bigger and bigger audiences, don't read the comments. And I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm still in them comments.
Me too.
How is it? What's it like being a podcaster, Brant Moore? Everybody says, can I be on your podcast? But nobody ever asks, how's the podcaster doing?
I mean, I can get real for a minute, honestly.
Let's get real for a minute, B.
And it's not just the podcasting side of things, but last year I got to the point where I was about to be mega burnout. I was uploading every single day for years. And I was doing podcasts. There were days when I was live streaming my podcast where I did like 4 or 5 in a week, which is insane to me to think about that now. Like, I would do it if it all worked out perfectly the way that it did at that point. I would still do it again. But like last year, I got to a point where I was like, man, I don't even know how much I really want to go and edit this video right now.
Yeah.
It became work. And the whole point of all of this was for it to not be work. And I recognized it really early. And I was like, damn, I'm starting to get burnt out with this. So and it also stemmed from a conversation I had with, he's a BMX agent for a lot of people, Brad Lusky, however you say it. I talked to him because I was like, man, my channel is getting a little bit bigger. I feel like maybe I could make some stuff happen with other companies and things. If I talk to an agent and maybe we could do something, maybe I'm ready for that. And so I reached out to a couple of people and he was nice enough to talk to me on the phone for like an hour. And aside from, he was giving me all of this like YouTube advice, and I was like, I already know all that stuff. But the one thing that he did repeat over and over that stuck with me was, if the formula is not working, change the formula. And it wasn't that I was realizing or recognizing that the formula I was doing on my YouTube channel wasn't working, because it absolutely was. Like, when I called him, I had a short that was getting like 100,000 views every single day, thousands of subscribers a month. I was in one of those up periods and it was crazy. And when he told me that, and he was like, maybe you don't upload every single day. And I knew, and through being in the YouTube space, that if you have a really good video and you post it one day and then you post another one the next day, you kill that first video and it's momentum. It's just the way YouTube works.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I mean, I know that there's all these videos I posted throughout the years that just got killed instantly because I upload every single day. And I'm getting burnt out. And so I pulled it back to posting every other day. And I recognized at the same time that, like, through uploading every day, I was just going to the skate park and filming everything because of the everyday thing.
Yeah.
And that's not the whole point of everything I was doing. Was that it was an extension of what I've always done since I started. I was filming all the time, making videos all the time. But then I was like, well, this isn't what I was doing. I wasn't filming every single thing anyone did. I was filming like the good stuff, the exciting stuff, the new tricks. And so I pulled it back to where I was just, it raised this winter. I did not film very often. It was just when something significant was happening.
That's nice.
And it has been nice, but it was the reason for all of it and explaining all of this is it was me recognizing that I was on my way to burning myself out. I was not excited to travel at all. People would hit me up with opportunities and I was like, dude, I just don't even want to. I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I want to stay at home.
I think I'm
And
depressed.
yeah, I was like, I just want to ride my local skate park and that's it. I don't
Yeah.
want to go anywhere or do anything. But through everything that I did to kind of pull things back, but still push at the same time, my videos are getting more views on average for the videos. And then I came up with a strategy of like, if it doesn't do this well, I have a video in the chamber. I'll upload on repeat days if it seems like something's just a dud.
Yeah.
But I'm not forcing it anymore. And it's made it a lot more fun. And I'm more excited to travel again. And
Fuck yeah.
And it's how I beat the burnout. And my whole point for bringing any of this up and saying like, oh, I'm going to get real for a minute is like, we all know what burnout can feel like. And the important thing is to recognize it and not let it get any worse.
Yeah, exactly. It's, boy, can I relate to burnout. I've wanted to quit 4 or 5 times, but there's that little voice in my head. This, nah, just shut up, keep going. And it's fine.
Yeah.
There's times where I'm just not even in it at all. I don't care. It's just, but I think it would be hard to point out. It would be hard to find one where it's like, oh, I could tell you were checked out on this one. I'm sure people listening are like, nah, fuck you. We know.
We all have our good and bad days.
It happens. What's it like for you with the podcast portion of things where like, how are you, people are like, do you have like a booker or whatever? And like, how do you keep track of shit and how do you schedule stuff? And what's your workflow for doing what we do?
So that was another big part of the whole recognizing the burnout thing, is that the podcast situation kind of turned into a job as well, where it's like one a week, I got to find somebody to talk to. I'm going to do this podcast. It was fun at first. And it was awesome when I was reaching out to all these people and I had multiple a week, but it also kind of, the whole reason I even started doing podcasts in the first place is because a lot of the people who started doing it were like, they were pulling back a little bit. And I was like, man, nobody's really doing podcasts right now. Somebody needs to do BMX podcasts because it's just kind of lacking. Like, I'll do it. Basically my whole entire video career has been, if no one else is going to do it, I feel an obligation to fill that space. That's where BMX News came from. And so pulling back on that, it was like, instead of just going out of my way to try and make a podcast happen multiple, like once a week, whatever it is, I wait until I'm excited about something. The Eddie Roman thing, I was excited about talking with Eddie Roman. Matt Bischoff was there the weekend I met Eddie Roman, and he was talking to me about his podcast and how psyched he is on BMX and stuff. And I was like, well, maybe I should get you on mine and we can talk about it. And so it was like that kind of stuff is what excites me. And I'm like, that's what I want to do podcasts with. And maybe if there comes a time where, like, if you feel burnout and you start doing once every other week or whatever it might be, and I'm like, all right, the podcast space is kind of thinning out right now, I'll feel that fire of like, all right, somebody needs to keep this going while this person's feeling the burnout. I want to fill in the blanks so that people who might want this or whatever, I don't even know why, honestly. Like, I don't have any idea. Like, I feel a responsibility.
Yeah.
And it probably stems from like why I filmed all these local events throughout all the years, is like, no one's there with a camera. And the amount of times people have been like, man, I'm so glad you filmed that, because if you didn't, it would have just died with that day. Yeah, exactly. It can be great. Like, those days are important too, where it's nobody's filming and just it lives only with the people who were there. But local jams and events usually aren't those days. And I felt that responsibility of like, I should be filming this right now. Fuck yeah. It's cool that you feel the responsibility, because if it is to be, it is up to me. That was on my elementary school wall. You know, it's like, if you think that there should be coverage of this event, and then you're looking around, instead of just being like, fuck, nobody's covering it, you just do it. That's fucking awesome. You know, that's a good attitude. It's the DIY mentality that makes up all of BMX. Like, I'm going to do this myself, whether it's like this is Gerber and Ryan Howard who are going out and fixing spots or creating spots. It's like, I want to ride this thing. I can't rely on or wait on this business to fix their rail or rely on the state of whatever to fix this spot. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to fix it so I can do what I want to do. And like at its core, that is like the purest form of BMX, I think.
Yep. It's fucking doing it because it needs to get done. Man, those two are something else. Ryan Howard and Zach Gerber. Holy shit.
Amazing.
They are up there. Who's your favorite guest that you've had? How many episodes have you done on your podcast?
So I can't count. That was what I was alluding to earlier with talking about how I was doing it at a thinner period with BMX podcasts. I never even titled it until the first Moeller one that I did. So I have...
And that was like 2022, the Moeller one, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can... so when I type in more BMX, 84 things pop up on my channel, but talking BMX brings up 95. So it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 175 to 200 times that I've done something, even though the more BMX is only in like the 60s at this point.
Them some good numbers. What was the first one where you're like, oh shit, that was like a podcast? Did you do it accidentally, or did you like call it a podcast while you were doing the first one?
Ironically, let's see. I am fairly certain if I go all the way to the back of my live videos. So I used to actually stream playing video games.
Swag. Which games?
Pipe. I did some Warzone here and there. What? That was live? I must have recorded. The first one with a person is showing Nina in 2019, but I don't think that's right.
I think my first one was around then too, 2019.
I have one. Okay, here we go. So this is why I was saying it was ironic. The first one was I'm pretty sure it was streamed September 2018, and it was 25% increase in bicycle import tariff podcast, which was because Andrew Vargason of Grindworks BMX, I think he was talking to me about it or something, and I was like, we should just do like a podcast, or however I said it, and I just called it Talking BMX for the longest time. So the first one would have been with him back in 2018 after the video game stuff.
It's a long time to be doing it. I think I'm like, holy shit, it's been 7 years for you, 6 for me. It's like I blinked, and then all of a sudden we're over 100 episodes, and it's been going for a while. I'm like, what the fuck? Tariffs is interesting though, because that's fucking hot off the presses right now. What have you heard anything from the industry about how this is gonna affect companies?
I haven't heard anyone talk about it. I haven't seen anyone really talk about it. I saw a couple like Instagram stories of percentage numbers.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything. I almost made a story yesterday because I recognized that if all of this tariff stuff goes through and bike parts become more expensive, it's a huge opportunity for riders who are supported to really put in work and show their value while BMX is in this low period, to set themselves up for when things do inevitably get better.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you have this opportunity right now to put yourself ahead of all these people who either don't recognize the fact that they should be doing certain things, or people who won't put in that effort but recognize that they should. You can really put yourself ahead right now by just showing that you're willing to really try and help, and that you give a shit.
Yeah. What are some examples of some things that you would like more specifically that you're thinking of?
Well, I have had this.
I'm with you generally, but I'm not sure specifically.
So I have had this model in my head that any and every single company could so easily run with. You are in the industry sphere, so we all watch videos, we all see that teams are still taking trips, right? They're still going out and doing filming missions to cities, whatever that might be. So my thought is, well, if you're already paying for a trip to wherever, then somebody should take some time to, like, if you're going to be in this area, look at what bike shops are nearby or on your way there or whatever, and get with them and try and plan an event of some kind that's just like 4 or 5 hours as one day, not even a whole day of your trip. And that'll be great because it'll bring in the BMX audience. But let's try and look even deeper into the forest. And now, if we make an event happen, let's reach out. Like, we see the city, we're working with a bike shop, or we're just planning an event at a skate park. Let's Google search around the city and see, are there any cycling organizations? Is there a YMCA that has any kind of events or anything like that regularly? Doesn't even have to be cycling related, but let's just reach out into the local community of this area, especially if it's a big city, and try and get as many non-BMX people to this event as possible so that we can get whatever we do at this event in front of a non-BMX audience.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of how BMX could do better is if more people buy BMX bikes. If there's a surplus of complete bikes, and we're only, as an industry, marketing those to people who already have a bike, we should be looking other places to try and reach out. So that was one concept that any company could do, especially if they're already sending people on trips. It's like, just take a day, try to reach out, work with a bike shop and the whole concept behind why it makes so much sense is, if this bike shop is already selling your product, one, that's helping pay your riders and you. And two, that their local community, if they come there and they're at this shop and you are there with your pro team sponsored, just really good riders, and they make a personal connection, they're more likely to buy your stuff and buy it from this shop, which builds that community even more. And the whole reason that I come up with all of this stuff and think about it is that so many people bitch about local bike shops never selling any BMX stuff, or a lack of effort on their part, as if it's the local bike shop's job to and it is to an extent, but like, if it's just you calling them, begging them to order your stuff, what's the incentive for them?
Yeah. And it's just not there. Like, the demand is not there. It's a niche within a niche. I talked to the owner of a distribution company when I was at Unity, and I asked him, like, what percentage of, the income for the distribution is other shops that have nothing to do with BMX versus BMX? And he was like, fucking 90%. It's like BMX is so fucking small and niche that I agree entirely with that point about making it a priority on a filming trip to do something with the local bike shops. I remember when I worked for Sabrosa, yeah, dude. And I was salty about it because I was young, and I don't know if I was salty, but I was like, man, what are we doing? We should just be going to spots and filming for the best video possible. But as I get older, I'm like, oh, that was completely the right move. Like, getting all the local kids at the skate park together and fucking making them feel involved, and then doing shop stops and, demos and shit there. It's objectively the best move, and it doesn't take that much effort, and it's like, get over it. Quit being so fucking cool that you can't go, like, be a good ambassador at a bike shop. Like,
you can't go and talk to the people who are running your frame, or imagine what I just explained would be as close as you could probably get to the least effort, least cost add to what you're already doing. But imagine how stoked a kid would be if you show up to a bike shop and he's like, it's a really good rider, she whatever is really good at riding. They show up to the shop stop. You're already planning to film around this city. You don't do it on the last day, you do it on the first day, and you find this rider who's incredible, or a few of them, and you're like, hey man, we're going to be at this spot later. They go out. Imagine how stoked a rider would be if they had a clip in a BMX trip video that they could go and watch and be like, oh, like they're going to tell all their friends. They're going to tell everyone on the internet. They're going to Monster Army that shit. Like,
yeah, for real.
They're going to be like, it's going to be on the same level as I got a free case of Monster every month. It's like, I was in this video and all it took was them doing a little bit of organization.
Yeah, it's easy. And that's the Matt Ray origin story. We did a shop stop at Hadley. No, that's the name of the skate park. I think it was local BMX. And there's just a quiet kid on a white bike that was fucking better than everybody. And I was like, what's your name, dude? Matt. Hi, I'm Matt Ray.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history with him. But it's like the old local exposure shit. I think of when you were talking about shop stops and bringing a general audience, I had this like daydream of, putting flyers up all around the city of like classic jumping, like stunt show. You could get the general audience to show up for some like aerial maneuvers. For fucking tech tricks on a rail, I don't know. But if you're doing backflips, fucking moms around the corner are gonna be like, let's go check out the stunt show. And it's like maybe that's a move. Do a tour, have your cool street pros, but also bring fucking Catfish and Morgan Wade and have them do a tire tap on the ceiling. There's no ceilings outside, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I get it.
The crowd pleaser type shit, which is
every company has a rider who could do jumping stuff. You think about like Fit with Cole Volcker or Matt Ray.
Yeah.
There's so many riders who are incredible at everything that you could very easily do something. And it comes back to that same mindset I was talking about earlier, where it's like companies are either too busy just trying to stay in business to even be able to have these thoughts and plan this stuff. But also it's that like, I'm going to wait around and hope that a bike shop wants to carry more of my shit instead of going out and creating the demand for yourself.
Yep. And creating the community and the demand and the hype.
That's what grew BMX in like the 30, 40 years ago thing, is people just going around doing shows in parking lots of grocery stores and different bike shops and things, and talking to the kids and talking to the people who could buy your stuff.
Yep. Stunt shows, man. I think we're onto something here, Brant.
I've been screaming about this on the internet for months and months and months, and I've had so many company owners and distributor owners and all these different people reaching out to me like, yes, everything you're saying, yes. And then when I post these videos, I hear about the group chats where all these pros are like shitting on me, and I'm like, you guys are gonna just bury yourselves and get to a point where you just can't make any money at all anymore, because all you want to do is go out and try and film the next craziest edit, which at the end of the day doesn't matter after a week unless it's Dennis Anderson level, like the Max Miller edit. People are going to talk about that for a decade or more.
Yeah, that shit was crazy
because he took it to another level. But everything below that is just old news in 2 weeks, and it didn't do anything to help your company beyond that point. But if you reach out into communities and you get people who don't already ride to think about buying your bike that you can't get someone who already has a bike to buy, well, that could actually have a power to help BMX as a whole.
You mentioned you got shit on in group chats. What happened there?
I don't hear specific things. I just hear like, oh, the group chat was hot sometimes from people when after certain things go live on the internet, and I bring it on myself. I'm not complaining about it. Like I've said multiple times over, like I will talk about this stuff and take the heat for it because I believe in it. And I would rather take the heat for certain things so that other people don't have to.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and it's part of the territory. If you're putting yourself out there with an opinion, then you got to expect the hate's going to come. It's
absolutely
part of it. You might be at the point where it's like, all right, no comments.
I still read the comments because nobody who I try to intentionally be so reasonable with what I'm trying to say and explain and look at both sides of things to the point where like if it pisses somebody off and they have something to say about it, they just make themselves look kind of bad if they leave a comment, like get shitty publicly about it. So I think that's why there's a lot of like behind the scenes people who might talk. And I honestly, nobody might talk. And it might just have been a couple times someone said something about a group chat. And at the end of the day, nobody is really actually being shitty at all. But another thing that I come back to with it is like the company owners that have hit me up, specifically one that I'm talking about, made me really understand that a lot of the stuff that I talk about with certain things with like riders really showing their value or creating value for themselves and concepts like that, company owners and people who work at companies can't talk about this stuff, because if too many people get mad about it, then it
affects their bottom line, dude. Yeah,
exactly. And when the dude said that to me, it was like, oh my God, that's why nobody at the highest level of things. It's why I made my channel in the first place, is not relying on the BMX industry so I can talk about stuff that other people just can't.
Yep. And it's almost like they have golden handcuffs on, or fucking a golden piece of duct tape over their mouth. It's like, if I want to keep my money, I gotta fucking shut up. But man, it would be fun just to turn off all filters. Like, you know how when you search for shit, you can do blurred, safe search, whatever. It's just like, all right, BMX, no filter.
Show me the titties.
Moeller, let it rip, dude. What do you got to say, dog?
Well, I feel like he kind of doesn't hold back.
I asked Ricky, I was like, who's the most free out of all the BMX company owners? And he's like, Moeller for sure. I was like, all right, cool. That's what's up.
He's solidified himself
Mad
so
dog.
much within the industry, and has that history of speaking his mind and talking about stuff. And it's awesome that there's somebody who will and can do it.
It's so interesting to think about those dudes at the top of, or at the helm of the ship, like Ronnie, Robbie, Chris, Paul, fucking Grant Smith. And then like, if you put them all in a room, what underlying tensions are there? I'm sure they'd all get along just fine, but there's just like little like if you could hear their thoughts, if they're all in the same room together, that would be pretty fun.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We love the drama. We love the beef. Where do we go from here? Let's talk about biking, I guess. How's biking going for you? I feel like I don't know. I can't even imagine. I feel like I do a lot, and then it's like on top of that, go riding and do the filming, and it's just constantly doing something that's related to BMX. And then I look at you and your channel, I'm like, Jesus, he's doing more, and you ride more, and you're fucking covering more events. I'm like, what the fuck? What does a average day in the life look like for you lately?
Well, first, my entire life is BMX.
That's like wake up, sleep. That's it.
My entire life. And it was engineered to be that way because I love BMX that much. But in terms of actual like riding and what it looks like today, everyday life, I mean, when it's cold out, I only get to ride 2, maybe 3 times a week if I'm lucky, when I drive up to Rays. And there was a lot of times this year where I drove up to Rays Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and a day in the middle of the week. I love it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Like 4 times a week is a good amount of riding. For a long time, for me, it was just 1 day a week.
With an hour drive to get there.
That does suck. Yeah.
8 hours.
But hey, that's time to listen to podcasts.
I do. But actual riding itself, I feel like I've learned a lot of new stuff, like more new stuff in the past couple years than I did for a while.
That's what's up. That's a good feeling.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm diving into the world of like fakie tricks and things like that. And it's cool when you figure out new things, even after 20 years of riding, you figure out something totally different.
I can't relate at all, bro. I haven't learned anything new in so long, dude.
That's like talking about riding. That is my whole entire mindset with it. I cannot be content going to Rays and doing the same stuff that I do every single time I'm there.
Yeah.
More often than not.
I agree. And the funny thing for me is just like I think learning something new would require eating shit, and I'm just unwilling at this point, dude. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, isn't it funny how, like, in your head, when you think about something, you know that you're going to eat it, trying to learn, and you're like, I'm not going to do that. Or if somebody else suggests something to you and you don't feel confident enough that you won't crash, like, I'm not doing that. But then when that one thing does come along
That's
that
a magical
you
feeling.
really want, that you turn off the switch of carrying it all.
Yes.
I mean, I had one 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago at Ray's.
You had a little breakthrough?
It wasn't a breakthrough. I didn't end up landing it. I guess I did land it, but it wasn't clean, so I have to do it again.
Okay. What was it?
And it wasn't even like a fear of falling kind of thing. It was an every single time I try it hurts kind of a thing, because there's a setup there where there's a ramp and there's a rafter above it. And I was basically just going into a no-handed double peg stall, grabbing the rafter and like spinning myself 360 and trying to drop back to the pedals.
Nice.
And the rafter there is just, there's like bolts sticking up and it's all rusty and dirty and whatever. And every time it's a pull-up. Every single attempt is a pull-up, and it's just destroying my fingers. But I tried it for like an hour and a half or 2 hours non-stop of pull-ups, and just the lack of caring at all throughout the entire thing. I cut my finger on the beam while I was trying it, and it was like disgusting and dirt all over in there. And my buddy who was filming is like, oh, and I was like, and just went back, and I'm like just not taking no for an answer, no matter how bad my fingers hurt or how hard it is for me to do a pull-up after an hour and a half of them.
It's like a different state of mind when you hit that flow state of like, I'm trying this, and then an hour and a half goes by in what feels like 20, 30 minutes.
Yep.
I can't say I've ever tried to do a little body varial on some rafters, but I get into that flow state trying a nose mail. Like nose mails, consistently I can do one parking spot. If I want to do a longer one, it's going to take me a while, but it feels so fucking good when you do it, dude. I admire that you've learned new stuff. I think that's one of the best feelings in BMX. I was just talking to somebody about, like, if you're riding just for the feeling of it, I think I would want to be a trails rider. Like there can't be a much better feeling than that floaty, weightless feeling. I was telling my girl, I was like, I don't like the feeling of a Smith grind. I think I used to think grinding felt cool. I don't even know if I ever thought it felt cool. I thought it was cool, and I want to film them, but I don't necessarily get much joy out of doing a Smith grind, if that makes any sense.
That's funny. Yeah.
She was like, no, grinding's cool. I was like, yeah, but it doesn't, like, if you think about the actual feeling of it, it's like, it's just work. It doesn't feel like anything. But jumping, I can't do it, but I wish I could. That's got to be the best feeling. What do you think is the best feeling trick?
I mean, back rail Fufanu, to answer the question.
Okay.
But to go back to trails, I mean, I ride trails all summer long. So I know that feeling of flowing through the trails, and there, dude, it's genuinely one of the best things ever when you pump a landing and then you come off of the next one and you're pulling and leaning back to go as high as you can and then nosing into that landing to do it again. It's just bliss.
Yeah, I bet. Fuck.
It's so good, but at the same time, like, there's that, and that's what I love doing on like our main line of jumps, the bigger ones. But then you go back to the smaller jumps, and that's why I'm talking about learning tricks, is that our step up at the end of our small line is basically like one of those old school flyouts that you see in really old videos.
Perfect.
Where you can just try whatever you want to try, and you don't really have to worry that much. And so I can go from that flowy bliss to, all right, now I'm trying to do a no-footed tire grab to no-footed can and hoping that it works out.
Yeah. What do I do with my feet?
Yeah.
What, towards the beginning of your riding, have you always been like a I don't know what the word untraditional rider. Like, what did you start and just try and learn all the basics like everybody does at the park? Like, I want a 3-whip. I mean, basics.
You said 3-whip. You learn the basics of 3-whip.
I think for park guys, 3-whip is pretty can nowadays, but you know what I mean? Like, tail whips, bar spins, techno handers, all that shit. Like, what was it like for you at the beginning? Did you want to be a street guy, a park guy, a dirt guy, all the above?
All of it. And the amazing part of it is that the scene that I grew up in, my parents' house was smack dab between the trails and the skate park.
Nice.
And the people that I got to ride with growing up, like you've seen my local park, it's a prefab Woodward skate park, but the people who rode there, any given day you could go down there and someone's doing a foof on the back rail or Superman's over the box, like really
Midwest as fuck.
Just any one of the group of people that I looked up to riding wise could have been a hooked up pro in BMX with the level they were at. And basically what I did growing up before I found like myself in riding was that I just combined all of them into one. Like nice. I had my friends who would do back rail foofs and 5 taps on the quarter and ice picks. And I had the other friends who would do tuck no handers and other just the other stuff people were doing. And I realized at a certain point that I just became like a conglomerate of all of them. And then at a certain level, I just found, I feel like I pinpointed it all the way back to this edit that I did with my buddy Sponge, where there was this random
What's Sponge's name real quick?
Josh
what?
Deal.
Okay. I'm confusing him with a SpongeBob. There's a SpongeBob that lived in Prescott. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Not him. You're good. But there was a little sign at the park and like a random baseball. And I figured out I could do T-bog, sit down, no-footed ice picks in the moment where I set this sign up and there's a baseball in the coping. And I was like, if I get into an ice pick and then I turn my bars, I can drop my front tire down until it hits the baseball and moves the baseball off of the coping. And in that moment, I realized I could do a toboggan in it. And then it moved to, I can do a bar spin and just do it. And then Lip Lords came from that. And it was like an obsession with just figuring out every single thing that was possible within an ice pick or a 5-tap or a Fufanu and pushing the limits of what was even possible with that, while at the same time going to the trails in the summer and going to Rays in the winter. And I'll ride street. I love riding street. I just hate the paranoia that living in a small city that everyone feels some type of power in, like put into my brain. And having a dad whose cousin is like the head sheriff of the town. Like,
hold on. What are you saying with the power? What'd you say?
Everyone in a small city feels like they have power over you if you're riding street.
Like vigilantes,
hometown hero type.
You got to go.
Yes, everyone is that person when you live in a smaller city because everyone knows everybody. And my dad knew everyone. So he immediately just put the fear of like, if you do something you're not supposed to out in the world, I'm going to find out because I know everyone and they see you.
Fucking yikes, dude.
Well, it was his way of getting me to not go and be a shithead, basically.
Yeah.
And it worked. But even to this day, I'm like, dude, unless I'm in a big city where really nobody cares at all, I am like head on a swivel, constantly looking for someone who's going to yell at me.
Yeah.
But I still love riding street. It's so much fun.
That's such a weird one I can relate to as well. As just, knowing that you're doing something that's just like, it's fucking it's wrong to damage people's property for the sake of getting a clip. But it's just like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's just like everything. It's like, okay, that's given. I'm doing it. I can control being nice. I'm not going to not do it, but I can like be respectful and leave when they ask me to and all that shit. The thing I never got is like Tammy's the first one that pops in my head of just giving security guards the worst attitude ever. Most of the time, in his defense, I think like if a security guard comes up with an attitude, he's just gonna match that attitude. So it's not. I'm not trying to call out Tammy for anything, but I've seen clips of like fucking fuck you, man, you fucking loser, fucking rent a cop or whatever the fuck. And it's just like I can't imagine doing that. It's just even if they're coming at me hot, it's just all right. But how are you guys? You know, let's have a wonderful day, and we're leaving. Don't worry about it.
I think that's a psychological thing where,
for sure,
like you matched the person. Some people will match a person's energy. If they coming at you sideways, then some people are going to match that right back. But then there's other people who start out going at the security guard sideways, who's coming in like, look, I know you guys are just having fun. You're just like, yeah, man, just whatever. And I think that's really just a deep-seated like psychological thing where people have their own issues in life, and in those moments it becomes a swamp fest in your brain where it's like, this is where I can let out my thing without feeling bad for letting it out on like my parents, my family, or someone in my life that could actually like affect me later.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like your lizard brain coming out. Like fight or flight kicks in, and then it's just not even up to you anymore. You know, you're seeing red, you're screaming, you're fucking letting it all hang out. Have you ever, speaking of that, did you ever get in any trouble, or did you avoid it all? Like with your dad, you said he was the sheriff?
No, his cousin was the head sheriff.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. No, I never really gotten any like serious trouble other than, oh God, when I was 14. I had a girlfriend that snuck over and walked like 5 miles to get to my house one night. Got caught on her way home, and I was grounded for the whole summer after that.
Oh hell, dude! Sneaking out back then was so fun. There's the first time. I don't know if this happens in other states, but like here at night, the traffic lights turn to just flashing red, like a stop sign when it's late at night.
They flash yellow here, but yeah.
Yeah. And so just seeing that for the first time as a 16-year-old sneaking out and walking 3 miles to go make out with a girl in a green belt was such a thrill, dude. Oh, to be young and innocent again.
Oh God, yeah. But I mean, that was honestly the only real trouble that I think I ever got in.
That's pretty good. I think I pulled up to a spot to ride with a couple of homies, and I peed in a parking garage, like in the corner of a parking garage. Yeah. And then I looked up, and there's a security camera, and I was like, uh-oh. And then some security guard chased me down and then threatened I could be a sex offender because of that. I was like, oh, I think that's the closest. Mata got arrested or put in jail when we went to Texas Toast. Because we went into a bar or something that was happening, and Joey was tired, so he slept in the van, and he woke up to aggressive knocking on the van from the cops. And then when they pull him out, inevitably they see the weed, and it's fucking Texas. So my boy Joey spent the night in fucking jail in Texas Toast 2013 or 14.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm just a naturally like paranoid person, so I think of every single possible outcome of whatever's happening.
I don't know if I want to ride street with you, dude.
I don't. It's fine
at the skate park.
Yeah, and it's fine. Like when Scott was filming some stuff for Angles, he filmed some stuff of me. It was totally fine. It's just in my head. I'm constantly thinking of like, oh, that person's gonna call cops, or oh, whatever. And I get in my own brain about it and get paranoid.
But it doesn't come out. You don't.
No, not at all.
Guys, I'm tripping. Guys, hold on. Did you see that? That woman was wearing a black shirt. You know what that means. She's
nothing crazy like that. It's a constant thought in my head, so that I'm like aware of like, oh, this person's calling the cops, so that we can know ahead of time, or whatever like that. I'm not being a psycho about it. Like, oh guys, he's calling the cops. We gotta go.
You seem very smart. Why are you smart? That's a dumb way to ask that question.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you where any of it comes from.
Were you good in school? Did you go to a college?
So in school, I can count the number of times that I like actually studied for any kind of tests on like one or two hands.
Nice.
It was just kind of the way it was. And
but did you still do good without trying that hard?
Yeah, I got all A's and B's.
Yeah, same.
And I did a thing junior and senior year called post-secondary. You ever heard of that?
No, that sounds familiar.
You've heard of a program like it if you haven't heard that name for it, but it's basically where you go to a local college instead of going to your school classes at the high school. So junior and senior year, I went and did basically all the gen ed type classes you would do at a college, and it got paid for through the school system, whatever, so that when I actually went to college, it lessened what I had to do.
Fuck yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, it was cool. And
you finished college?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a degree.
I have a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, because I was the idiot who went to school for cinematic arts.
You say cinematic arts? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's dope. I always wish that I went to, like, I hear what, film school classes are like, and I would fucking love it, especially now.
Don't ever do it. And the only way I would ever recommend anyone go to any type of college is if you have to for what you're going to do. If you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, because basically, and I have the credentials to back this up. I was the outstanding senior in the cinematic arts graduating class of 2015 or whatever the hell it was. Like, all of the professors chose me. But I'm sitting here saying today I would not do it again if I went backwards. The best things that came from school were the fact that I got to ride with Hamilton and Gerber all the time in Columbus.
Hell yeah.
It was.
Were they in college with you, or they just lived around there?
Hamilton lived on OSU campus, and Gerber lived somewhere in Columbus. And dude, like, I had already, so I went through my first year of school where you do the painting and color theory and the super basic life drawing classes that they make you do instead of math because you're not at a
so you can't do calculus. Here, draw these apples.
Yeah. And so before I even got into video classes at this school, I had a job for video at this factory in the town where I live now. And so at the end of that year, I was like, hey, I kind of just want to take a year off because I already have a video job. Like, let's just do this, save some money. And my whole family was like, oh no, you'll never go back. So I just went back, and it came to the point where, like, there was one specific example where I was home for a weekend and I had my camera and I was like, oh, I want to try and take pictures of the stars. And okay, I'll do a time lapse with long exposure star photos. And so I threw my Rokinon fisheye on there, went out back, set the tripod up in the swing set, and took photos for like an hour and a half or however long it was. Go back, put them on my computer. I just happened to get a time lapse of the Milky Way going through the sky.
Nice.
And so I learned how to make the time lapse in After Effects, and I showed my professor, and he's like, do you want to show the class how you did this? And so I taught the fucking class for the day in college.
Yeah.
But I paid to teach the class for the day. I didn't get paid for it.
I'm with you, dude. I think it's a scam at best. But there's something about that just sounds so cool to be in a classroom, watch a film, and then break it down. Do the shit that I do. Like, my girl will be sitting here and watch something, and I'm like, did you notice the color contrast of the warms and the cools in that image? Did you see how the camera was pointing up, making the character feel more powerful? And they cut and they didn't show his face because they're building tension. And it's just like, there's so much cool shit that goes into, like, I don't think everybody thinks about that stuff. I think they watch something and they're like, oh, cool story, but I think that the details in cinema are fucking cool. And I don't want to go to film school. I just want to go to, like, one film class and break down There Will Be Blood or fucking Inglourious Bastards or something. What's your favorite film? If you go to film school, you must know some cool ones.
Oh, this is gonna be embarrassing.
Power Rangers.
Everybody has to watch Star Wars, and everyone has to have watched these movies. And I'm like, I never saw Star Wars. I
can't remember Star Wars.
Like,
same. I never saw Apocalypse Now.
These movies that people like crucify you for not having seen as a film student. But man, I'd have to I'd have to think about it for a minute because I can't remember. There was one movie that I really loved that. So recent history, Dune has been one of my favorites because just the level of the cinematography in Dune, the super consistent color palettes and the way that they contrast the yellows and the blues of
And
the eyes.
the sounds, bro.
Dude,
Fucking
I'm getting chills
It's
just thinking
so
about it
good.
because it is so good. I've loved that. Man, I wish I could remember what the one movie was. I don't know. Victoria and I go and watch every single big movie that comes out, and she is because I point stuff out so much, she will point out like, oh, she sees like a camera in the background, or oh, this guy is wearing a hat in this shot, but then they cut to this one and he doesn't have a hat on,
hell yeah,
and stuff like that. And we watch the VFX Artists React series.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I've watched those guys for 10 years before they started making that series. So it was cool when they blew up from that. But we watch that so much that like she pays attention to that stuff now.
That's what's up.
I love movies and I love all that stuff, but I hate that I went to school to do all this to become a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel grateful that I didn't go to film school, but at the same time, you know, because there's a website called nofilmschool.com where I learned a fuckload, you know, and you really don't need to. You are 100% correct. You don't need it unless you absolutely need it to become like a doctor or whatever. What kind of gear are you working with right now, and what type of stuff do you do for this tractor company? You're literally just using your phone?
Not for the tractor company stuff, but for 99% of my own stuff, I am using my phone, unless it's like a product video where I use my camera for the main shot of me like doing whatever, and then my phone as a top down.
Fire.
But
I love that. I love that a lot. I use the phone for a second angle for almost all the second angles in the full length, and it's just
so good.
Plenty good.
The fact that my phone will shoot ProRes RAW.
Yeah.
Like,
do you have one of those external hard drives that you put on your phone?
No, I just bought the 1 terabyte.
Nice.
Yeah, and I just recognize that the camera quality, the phone was catching up in terms of resolution and file size, which means bitrate is higher, meaning that the quality is just inherently getting there. Then they add ProRes RAW, and then with the Blackmagic Cinema camera app, you can film in RAW without doing ProRes. So it gives, when you go into that app, you have the exact same amount of storage limit. So it's not using any more storage, but just filming in a log RAW format in your 60 frames 4K.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking good.
I don't use it all the time because they don't make it really easy to switch the lenses. Like the iPhone, when you just zoom in and you pass a certain point, it switches cameras. That Blackmagic app doesn't do that yet. So I don't use it for everything, but there's a lot of times where if I'm at the skate park filming a Lip Lords clip, or I'm at a whatever filming a clip that I intend on using in a real video, I'll use that when I see it's backlit or it's direct sunlight from above, and you know it's going to be really contrasty, and you know that the blacks are going to get completely crushed and the whites are going to get blown out. I just use it in those situations, and it's awesome. The LUT that Apple provides, or did provide, to just drop onto that footage, it works perfectly, and it matches up really well with the rest of the iPhone footage. And then I also use this microphone. I'm using one right here. It's just a Comica VN10 Pro, VM10. It's really nice quality, plugs in via USB-C. You can use it digitally through USB-C, or if you plug it in and get a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, you can use it analog. Like I use one on my camera as well. Yeah.
So you're saying you can use that on the iPhone?
Yeah.
And that's what's up. That was my other question. The only piece that's struggling with iPhone video is the audio. And if that's a quick, easy fix, that's what's up.
When you're outside, the audio from an iPhone is incredible. and you don't really need a mic unless it's super windy. But like in Rays, with how much music there is and stuff, if I'm just set up and I'm filming someone, right? Oh my god. Oh, dude, that was gross. Embarrassing.
Oh my god.
If I'm set up and I'm filming someone across the room, all you can hear is the music and a little bit of riding volume here and there.
Yeah.
Plug the microphone in and you can hear pegs hitting wood on the spine.
Yeah, and it's like directional, making it directional instead of omnidirectional or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about if you're filming, because like we all out here iPhone filming, and I think that I'm always curious about other people's workflows. Like, are you cutting? Sometimes, like for second angles, I'll just leave it rolling, and then I can trim that clip to just be the make. Or if somebody's there, I'll have them hit record over and over again, and then go through and select them all and delete. What's your go-to? Are you cutting in between or recording? I already know the answer. You're cutting in between to save space. Duh.
Nope.
You
I bought the 1 terabyte for a reason. I will do a 20-minute take. It depends. If I'm
one trick, right?
Yeah, if I'm at Rays and I'm filming the spine, I'm going to be starting and stopping as I'm sitting beside my phone before I go and when I come back. But if I'm just like at the local skate park outside and the camera's across the park for a certain angle, I just let it roll for 20 minutes and go over and restart.
And if you're sitting there filming somebody else, you're going to cut in between. Yeah. That's a pretty dumb question.
I have another answer for it though, because the reason that I do that and I won't trim it on the phone even after the fact is because when you do that trimming on your phone in the Photos app, it like puts it into another container, and if you do like save video, it'll still keep your original, but it does like when you transfer the file, it'll give you the original and then it'll give you one with like an E in the file name as the edited version of it. And I've noticed that instead of being 59.99 as the frame rate, it could be 58 or 47. And when you bring that in as that short clip, it's not the same frame rate, and that can make it seem and feel off. So I'll keep that whole 20-minute clip, put it on my hard drive, and
that's interesting. So that leads me to my other question, which was the workflow of getting it from your phone to your computer. Okay. I don't think I've ever even attempted to plug it in and click and drag. But if I plugged my iPhone in, it pops up as an external hard drive?
No.
And you click and drag? Or do you have to do everything from Photos? Like, I just airdrop them, which is so tedious, and I shouldn't do it that way. It's not that tedious compared to fucking mini DV tapes, but
you shouldn't do airdrop, because unless you select the options and then do transfer original file, it's also doing sometimes like a container wrapped file. But there's an app on all Macs that comes with it called Image Capture that you plug your phone in, and it brings up your phone and it brings up all of every media that's on your phone. You can organize it by file size. You can organize it by the file name or the date. So what I do is I organize it by the date, and then you just select all of those files and drag them to where you want. But then there's also this new thing that Apple just put into the new firmware of, it's Sequoia, I think. Yeah, Sequoia, where it's called iPhone mirroring, where when your phone's plugged in or nearby, you can click on it, and as long as your phone screen's off, it'll bring your phone desktop, your home page up. And you can use your phone.
I saw something about that.
Yeah, like you can use your phone without picking your phone up. And when you go into the Photos app, inside that, you can select everything you'd want and then drag it from that to a folder on your computer.
That's fucking cool. Cause like I did see something about this, but I never did it.
Yeah. There's so many cool little things that they build in that you can do with your phone or an old phone. Like I'm using an old iPhone as my camera right now.
Yeah. I saw that, and you can use it as a microphone too. Like if we did this, I could be talking into, like, nobody needs shit anymore. You have a fucking magical device in your pocket that can turn you into a filmmaker. iPhone mirroring is locked. Touch ID. Oh, dude, I'm on my phone on my computer now, baby. That's cool.
Isn't that cool? It's super cool.
Lock your phone to connect. Let's go. Yeah, that's cool.
It's just convenient. And when you do it, I haven't tested the mirroring way to transfer files yet, but when you use image capture, it's giving you the original quality file from your phone that it filmed in so that you have that full quality.
Bro, this is nuts. I'm on my phone.
Taught you something.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
I've been a huge believer in doing what you can with what you have. Like what we talked about at the beginning with my wall being green screen and using an old fabric green screen when I lived in my parents' house. Like at a certain point, I realized like I have this gaming PC and I can use it for streaming and all of this other stuff. And then I bought Victoria a green screen so she could use it for photography or just a backdrop set for photography. And it came with a green screen. So I can set that up and I can just use a lamp on my desk to get everything set up. And the way, and I think part of that just stems from, you know, BMX and you do what you can with what you have. Then also when I was in school, man, so often people would just talk about, oh, if I had this camera, I could do this. I had that. I like went ballistic one day in front of like a huge room of people because there was a couple of people just like, yeah, I wish I had this camera. I really can't do whatever. And I was like, you guys need to stop. Like realize that you shouldn't even be thinking about a new camera until you've maxed out what's possible with the one you already have and it can't do what you need it to.
Yep. I would be going ballistic too. I hate that. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is like people not even realizing that they're giving themselves excuses and shooting themselves down before they even start. And it's just like, dude, what are you saying? It's so crazy how like ingrained it is in people that like, oh, I can't do that because this. And it's just like, brother, you can and you should at least try. But it's almost like the same reason that people love being a victim is the same reason people love giving themselves in. It's just comfortable to be like, I would do that because I'm talented and great, but I can't because of this reason. And it's like, then you don't have to do anything. You still get to feel good about how cool you are and what your potential is.
It's easier to make excuses. And the thing that has bothered me for so long also because of school is the I'm going to do this mentality of saying I'm going to do this and people reacting to that as if they said they already did it.
Yep.
And here's a really good one that I got from, I think it's the show Reacher on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about equipment. And there's a lot of times people like blame their bike on them not being able to land a trick. Oh, stupid bike. Oh, these pegs, these tires, whatever.
Yeah.
Only a bad artist blames their tools.
That's what's up.
That's real.
Yeah. And I don't know. I see it even in like you tell somebody, okay, I want to get into videography. Cool. But I just don't have a camera. I'm like, yeah, you do. And then the most common thing is like, well, I don't have all those accessories to make it like good. And it's just like, there it is again. Another one. Another fucking you did it again. Another excuse.
Yeah, man. And it's so easy. And I switched to my phone because I was already using it a lot. And then my camera could only do 4K up to 30p. So I really like filming 60 frames a second. And as soon as the iPhone put 4K 60 into it, I was like, well, that's about to become my main camera. Yeah. And one thing that I've really been enjoying lately is that I found a way to do flash photography with a phone as the camera.
Nice.
It is.
I think I've seen some of those photos then of like on a spine. You posted one. Yeah.
That would have been.
So you have a flash in one hand and the iPhone in the other. That's what's up.
And dude, it's so amazing. Like, because I used to carry my camera with me everywhere. I would have a flash and I had a receiver and all that stuff. And I love taking pictures. You'd stop carrying your camera. You can't take pictures as much anymore. And I found this setup and it's got some quirks, but it works. You look at a photo and you can't even tell that it was a shot on a phone.
Yeah.
It looks like a camera.
Especially if you know what you do. Especially if you know what you're doing in editing, it's like it's nobody's business. It's plenty good, man. I remember, like, yeah, fucking
That,
you know.
that is a phone using 3 flashes.
Yeah, that's crazy, actually.
It's insane. And we set it up to where I was holding my flash and shooting the photo. And then the other dude set up 2 flashes that were in slave mode. So my flash set his off, and we had 3
Boom.
flashes and a phone shooting a photo, and it's raw. Like it's 300
Yeah.
DPI image, raw. It's so good.
You can't go wrong. It's actually kind of inspiring right now. I really, after putting this video out, I was like, I'm definitely done. I'm done capturing footage off of these fucking things. But I've always dabbled with making little iPhone edits. I guess my question to you would be, I used to have one of those depth lenses, and it was kind of good. It makes it an actual fisheye instead of just wide angle. But I could never get over the fact that, like, unless you have a specific app and turn steady shot off, and even then it doesn't, it's still fucking juggly, even with steady shot turned off, and that bothers the fuck out of me. So it's like, just settle for the wide angle and do it that way. Or do you ever add a lens or anything to your iPhone?
I thought about it, and from what it looked like, those moment lenses, when you get the certain one with the case or whatever, it looked like the fisheye it wasn't necessarily cropped in, but they made it in a way that there wouldn't be any vignetting from it. So you would still get the super wide, but you don't get the vignetting that shows you that the stabilization is happening.
Yeah.
And I haven't tried it. I want to. Also because the main camera on iPhones is always going to be better than the other 2 in the quality department. So putting a lens onto that and using it for a fisheye is going to give you a better result than the wide angle would. But to this point, I've only really used the wide angle. It's like
adding a step to something that's so beautifully simple. Just bust this out, but then, oh, hold on, let me get my thing, make sure it's clean, and add it to it, and then set it up. Which is, it's weird to complain about that small step when I've been doing the most tedious shit for so long. But I think I might try it again. I had one 6 years ago, the Death Lens, and might be time. I'll check out the Moment one.
The thing that I've been loving with the new phone is that camera button, where you can literally just hit the button 3 times and you're recording. Do you have the camera button?
Is this the camera button?
Wrong camera. Is that a button?
Which
phone is it? Is it the 16?
I don't know if it's the 16.
If it's not the 16, it doesn't have the camera button yet.
I think it might be the 15.
Yeah, they added the camera button to it, and it's
on the side, you just triple tap and then it's camera mode.
Yeah, it opens the camera automatically, and then you choose what it opens into. And then for what I do, where the 1 second of me grabbing my phone and then having to push a button could be the difference of me like catching a really funny moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It really has been awesome.
All right, time to upgrade to the 16 and be an iPhone, next full length iPhone. Bro, there's no excuses. Like, if you're listening to this and you live in Arizona, I want to see a fucking full length video, dog. I'm so excited to see who's next.
Isn't it funny when you think about a full length? And I know right now you're in the moment of like, I don't want to do another one, but when you're in the like, damn it, I really need to edit. And then you start editing, you're like, oh, this happens way faster than it felt like it was going to.
It's always a daunting beast until you take that first step. And then it's like, I've thought about this a lot, and like what would cause me to not want to do it and like just put it off and just not finish. And I can't, I mean, I think if you are like, it has to be perfect and you don't want to do anything that is bad, then perfectionism will just make you not do it. And I think done is better than perfect. And I saw a Rick Rubin clip of saying you got to be willing. You have to be willing to make dog shit art in order to get through the valley to make great art. And I'm like, that's fucking potent. Because I think the first couple of things that I made for this full length were dog shit. And then you show a couple people, they're like, eh. And then fucking, all right, I'll show you. And then fucking.
Dude, Rick Rubin is not
He's a G. Yeah.
I went down a rabbit hole just listening to everything I could find with him, because everything he talks about is so inspiring in the way that he looks at things and his beliefs about life and like the universe and all this stuff. And it's like, it overlaps so much with the stuff that I personally believe.
100%. Yeah.
And it's so good to listen to stuff like that. Then, so you take you got to make the dog shit stuff to get to the good stuff. And then also that quote from the guy who says, the man who enjoys the walk or the journey is going to travel way further than the person who enjoys something or does something because of the destination. Because when you are enjoying something for the journey, you're like those little individual steps for something that are work to get to the destination for the other person become just part of it, and they're part of the fun for you, and you just do it, and it's inherent, and it's not work at that point.
And the journey is the destination, if you will. I got 2 Rick Rubin things that hit home for me. One of them was like, great, he's I don't know if he said fuck the audience, but you can't think about the audience while you're making something. You have to make it for you and only you, and then that's the best thing that you can do for the audience. And then that hit a lot when I was making this one. The other one I just saw, I think yesterday, Benny, the producer, he's in the show Dave, Lil Dicky's, what is his name? Whatever. His name's Benny. He produced Ed Sheeran's biggest hit, and the song was being produced by Rick Rubin. Benny showed it to him, and then Rick Rubin listened, and he listened again, and then very quietly said, the song makes me feel orange, and then left the room. And then Benny's like, what the fuck? What does that mean? Orange? And then he's talking with Ed, and then they're like, well, let's do something. And then they did some shit, and Rick Rubin comes back in, listens again, and he goes, perfect. I'm like, that's what's up. That's fucking guru shit. And then Benny's like, did he fucking like jump in my brain and tell me exactly what I needed to do to make this song perfect? This song makes me feel orange is the craziest feedback I've ever heard.
That's so real though, where you just get on, it's all about like frequency and get on the same wavelength as somebody else.
Yeah.
And you can get to that point where you just say the one thing that somebody needs to hear.
Yes, exactly.
And I love his mindset on when they're working on a song, they go down every single suggestion or trail that anyone could possibly bring up while they're doing it, because you just never, until you flesh it out, you just never really know. And so he doesn't assume anything when he hears it.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Which is huge. And it takes a certain type of person. Like I'm grateful that I have Ryan Chadwick here, and like I show him an unfinished video and I don't have to clarify like, okay, the audio's rough, the colors are rough. Like he knows. And it's just like, that's cool. Cause then he can, I'm not like embarrassed showing him. Like some people will take a rough draft as a final and not realize that so much is going to change, and they're like, oh, this sucks. And it's like, yeah, I know it sucks, but I'm looking for some feedback there. When you make videos, are you the type, because like I've been told that what I do is insane. Like I have a bunch of people come over and watch it while I'm working on it and get all their, for me it's like the fresh eyeballs on the writing that I've been watching for 5 years that I'm so desensitized to, that I get a lot from watching somebody else watch it. I'm just like, oh, that part, like it, get a lot of good feedback. And people are like, no, just lock yourself in a room and then make what you want and put it out. And it's like, I can't do that. I need other eyeballs. What about you?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. So I feel like when I am editing something that's more than just me talking about a peg,
right,
or whatever, when I'm editing something for that vibe and feel of it, like an edit, we'll just talk about an edit. When I'm working on that, I feel like I'm almost tapping into like something else, somewhere else, where I'm tuning myself into a frequency of just finding what it's not even based on like, oh, I don't like how long this clip is. It's that clip. Something doesn't feel right about that thing that I did. So I'm like, it is a pure emotional, conscious connection to what I'm working on to get it to a point where it feels okay and I feel good whenever I'm watching that orange, like he was I'm sure he's listening to it and he's like, something's off here, I feel a certain way, he comes back, perfection, it feels perfect now. And and it's such a weird thing to try to describe, because until you've felt that and you're working on something and you line something up and you put together a few clips and then you see the way they flow together and you feel it, it's magic. That's why they call movie making magic, is because you're chasing that feeling of it being perfect and feeling magical.
Yep.
It's exactly.
You ever cried when you make something?
No.
Pussy.
No, but I get chills, or I get super hyped. Like, there's so many times where I'll be watching a video and that I edited, in the process of editing it, and I just get like really hyped at certain things in the way that they happen. It almost just feels like a synchronistic thing is going on, where I am meant to put this clip here, this beat of the song, and if it's not right, it feels wrong. It almost feels like some type of disorder that you could label as like a psychological disorder, where I don't know, I could get crazy with this type of shit, where people who have like psychological disorders, when they have to act certain ways or do certain things, is because if they don't, they feel wrong, or they feel whatever. It almost feels like that, in that if this isn't exactly the right way, it feels off, and my 100%. Body and brain can't deal with that. And so I work at it until it feels right. And go ahead.
Until it feels like, I was just thinking, like, it feels really good when you put a circle through a circle hole, you know, those toys or whatever.
That just video.
It fits just right. Nice.
And the triangle, you can get which hole that one goes in. Yeah. The girl who's like,
I know that.
The square hole.
And then every shape fits in the square hole.
Yeah. And that's like that, but that's life. That's life, where everybody acts like every individual thing has its own hole in the bucket, that we're coming back to buckets, where everything has its hole that it fits through to get into the bucket, where in reality, everything fits into every single of the holes. And it's all open. But the feeling of when it's just right, when it's like, when it hits, when you, I don't know what it is. It's cool to hear you describe it as feeling, because that's all it is. It's like there's some, you know, hard science to it, of just like, this clip should be the first one, this should be the last, that this should hit on this beat, but everything else is kind of just feeling. And boy, does it feel good. And I asked if you cry, because I legit cry if I make something dope. I'm crying, not bad crying, but just like the feeling, it's the same exact sensation as goosebumps, but it just, water comes out inside.
Of my eye.
It's goosebumps in your body.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. I love it. And
it really is. And so, to get to how I said it's both a little bit for me, I will edit something until it feels right, and then I'll send it to a bunch of people and just ask how they feel about it and what they think. And then most of the time, I just disregard everything people say, because it feels right for me, and that's what I know is right. But sometimes people bring up valid points, and I will change something up. Like a video that I just finished editing last week, it's Lip Lord's edit, and I had a last clip for it, and it took me a while to get this. I had to figure the trick out, and I filmed it. It was something that I didn't know if would work ever again. And I showed it to Sponge, and he played it, and he's like, it's awesome, but that last clip feels like you might need to have like a second angle on it or something, because of certain element of the trick. And I watched it again. I was like, damn it, he's right. And so I went and I refilmed it with 2 angles, and I have to split screen this last clip so you can see both angles at the same time. Otherwise, it just doesn't work with the edit. And it's just an example of.
That's interesting. I've never done that. split screen of multiple angles at the same time.
Yeah.
That's cool. I never even considered that. That's a cool idea.
I had to, because when you make an edit, you only want to make it so long.
And it's everything has its place, and then it's if it's already done and you're adding something to it, whew.
Yep, and that changes your timing and all of that stuff. And so, without giving too much away about this video, like some of these clips in this video are really, really long, and if I added that to it, it's going to make the video too long. So you have to think.
Yeah, you guys are on the lip doing fucking 2-minute long clips. Watch me ice pick and say the ABCs backwards. So what is, for people who don't know, what is Lip Lords? How did it start? And what is Lip Lords?
So I explained earlier how there was that baseball on the sign, and I did the T-bog and it shot the baseball off the ramp. During the process of filming that edit with Sponge, I was starting to do more lip trick combos, stuff I was excited about. And then I was at the skate park one day filming a 5-tap, one-hander, one-footer. And I got it. And Hollywood.
Same side?
There. Yeah, same side.
Sick.
And Hollywood was there. Have you ever heard of Hollywood? Mike Hollywood Brancato?
Yeah.
He was there riding with me that day, and I was trying it. And then he had to leave, but he hadn't left yet, and I pulled it while he was still getting ready to leave in his truck. So I ran over there real quick, and I showed it to him, and he was psyched on it. He was like, "Oh yeah, the Lip Lords would like that one." And I was like, "The what?" The Lip Lords. And it's these guys years ago had a video they called Lip Lords. It's this group of guys that called themselves the Lip Lords, and that sparked an idea in my head to make a whole entire video surrounding this one clip, where it was like, oh, I don't even, and this is why the universe shit is so crazy to me, and I feel like a psycho when I talk about it, but like, I don't even know where the idea actually came from. It just popped into my head in that moment to make a video where we're only doing lip tricks on that one ramp.
Yeah.
And I remember Sponge and I were riding at the park, and I remember exactly where he was sitting and where I was at. And I told him about the idea. And I remember his reaction being like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool." and so I just did it. And I just started filming, and I was obsessed over just going to the skate park and filming all these lip tricks. And at first it was me filming stuff that I had already done and learning a couple new things. Filmed part 1 and was so obsessed with it, and he was getting into it because we were riding together all the time, and he's just naturally feeding off of what I'm doing. So he's starting to do something on the same ramp, and so we start filming each other, and got it to the point where we had enough footage to where I just edited part 1 and 2 at the same time.
Okay.
And released part 1, and when I sent it to Scott, because he was posting on the Come Up at the time, I was like, if this video gets 100 views in the first hour or first day, I'll post part 2 tomorrow.
Nice.
And for whatever reason, it was exactly what people seemed to want or need, exactly when they needed it, in that everything's a flat ledge, flat rail era.
Yeah.
And it just blew up. The first part got like 6,000 views, and I posted the next one the next day, and they both were feeding on each other and both got a ton of views. It might have been 3,000 and 6,000 on the second one. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I was so psyched on it and obsessed with just doing all these lip tricks that that's all we did when we rode. We were just filming for Lip Lords, and it was cool because it was one ramp at the local skate park, and we didn't have to go find what we were going to do it on, or it was just having a sesh, thinking about new tricks and bouncing ideas off of each other. And so then I made part 3, which released in the same year. This all happened in 2013 too. So it's 12 years ago this year. And part 3 got like over 10,000 views using a Flow Rida Kesha song. And I think it was a combination of just
YouTube or Vimeo?
Vimeo.
Yeah, Vimeo back then for the Come Up and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all on Vimeo. And I think it was a combination of being so radically different from everything else that had come out. And also everyone loves lip tricks from the mid-school era. And then just the fun. we were just having fun. Like in the third part, there's like parts in the song where he's saying, call up my homies, and I'm showing clips of my friends and making it rain, talking about making it rain. And it's a clip where Sponge threw up some change in the air because for whatever reason, that just naturally happened.
Yeah.
Like while I was filming, and it just was fun.
That's the magic feeling that you were talking about.
Yeah.
If I recall, did you do merch and stuff for Lip Lords?
I made, there was a couple shirts that I just put designs out there on Teespring of. I didn't.
What's Teespring? Is that like print on demand type thing?
Yeah. It's a really big print on demand website. But I never made anything physical myself other than stickers. I just made stickers on my mom's Cricut machine.
Hell yeah.
and sold a bunch of those. I remember riding in the car in Buffalo, New York with Charlie Crumler sitting in the back seat, and we were talking about stuff, and I remember him saying how like Lip Lords could become a brand. And I remember at that time, this was still me in my mindset of like organic things happening, like the wait and hope something happens mindset. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to brand Lip Lords. I never want to attach it to a company. I never want to put anyone's logo on the video. It is just pure for what it is. And
that's very pure.
I never did. And maybe I could have. I don't know. I don't really care.
Still could.
Yeah, I guess I still could. And I kind of did by making a couple different shirt designs, but we still film for it to this day. I released one a couple months ago, and for a long time, Lip Lords turned into that same daily uploading mindset of like, it became work where it was like going to the park. All right, I got to figure out something for Lip Lords.
Yeah.
Gotta push the envelope. And it got to a point where I think I was just, instead of just going and having fun with it and just doing whatever came naturally from whatever ether of consciousness exists out there. Yeah. It was me trying to force the muse instead of letting the muse come to me. And it became, I think it kind of faded a little bit in what it was. And I rediscovered that muse with it this past summer, where it's just having fun, doing whatever happens. And even if the tricks aren't NBDs that are something insane, like a no-handed foot jam to foot jam whip that Sponge would do, or me doing a saran wrap 5-tap or something like that. Even if they're not like that, the fun is what I want to capture. Yeah.
And you touched on the ether thing, and you kind of mentioned it earlier. I've seen a couple videos of people talking about that, where it's just like, what is creativity? Where does it come from? And it's like you're receiving it.
More so
than generating it. Yeah,
we are. But oh, dude, all right, we're opening the rabbit hole. Let's go.
I'm gonna fill up my water real quick. So we're still going. Keep talking. I can hear you.
Do it. So that ether thing is fully like real, 100%. I fully believe in that wholeheartedly. Like ideas and consciousness and whatever it is, I feel like it all comes from somewhere else. I don't know where, I don't know how. I feel like we are antennas that can pick up on, but also send out. Because, and this is where Sponge blew my mind, because I kind of like red pilled him with this mindset on things over the years, just explaining to him and telling him about all these things that have happened to me with it, to where he had one of these moments of like clarity of realizing that, because I've always felt like we were just receivers less than we were antennas that can send and receive. And he was like, have you heard of all these stories where you hear like the studies of teaching like a rat a maze on the East Coast, and then on the West Coast, a rat can do the maze. And he's like, I think that we can send and receive. And then that set off another light bulb of like enlightenment. That is just,
I think it's real.
Well,
it's so trippy to think that it's actually real. You know, it's not just foo-foo,
dude,
shit, but it is. Everything's energy.
Oh my God. So I go crazy with this stuff because it's so insane to me. And I feel like explaining it to an NPC who doesn't and can't see this stuff is like, that guy's a fucking psycho. But no shit. I recently just had this revelation where I was talking to Sponge about this thing that I thought of that randomly popped into my head out of nowhere. Where's it at? Oh, come on. Tell me I didn't delete it.
Trip, come up here.
So I have a note in my phone of all these different synchronicities and things that have happened
Nice.
to me. And the one crazy one that happened recently is that I was doing something and I had this realization of consciousness is a dimension. It's not like the way to think about consciousness, because we really don't know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Or what causes it.
The hard problem or the soft problem. Have you heard those terms? Whatever.
But
the hard problem is like, where is it in your brain? The soft problem is like, what is it as a concept?
Consciousness isn't in our brain. It comes from somewhere else. And I think it's a dimension. It's a thing.
I like that. I've never thought about that. That's a good one.
And so I sent him these texts talking about this idea. And I was like, so consciousness is a dimension and everything is like based on that. And that's where like ideas come from and to and from and whatever. And then my brain went even further. And this is where I'm going to lose people. But I was like, dude, that's how aliens travel. Think about it. They travel through the consciousness dimension of like connecting point A to point B, and that like their crafts have figured out how you can travel using that. And if you think of like, I don't know anything about the laws of physics, but in my head, it makes sense that if you can travel via consciousness, why couldn't you travel from one side of the universe to the other instantly through that? And
because in the consciousness dimension, space and time isn't the same as here, that type shit. And it's like, if you think about alien travel, it should feel foreign to even consider. Like, they don't see space and time like we do, and there's paths that we don't understand. Interdimensional travel is like,
yep,
fucking likely.
So I sent him this. So this is what sparked it for me. I don't even know why I thought about this, but I was thinking about psychedelics. Psychedelics are us using psychedelics as a vehicle to travel to the consciousness dimension.
I love it. I love that a lot.
I've never done it. I've never smoked weed. I've never been drunk. I've never done a psychedelic. I've never smoked a cigarette. And I'm thinking of this random, crazy, weird universe stuff out of my head, out of nowhere. And I was like, I was talking to him. I was like, so they think our bodies produce DMT. Like, what if the way that works is that it's just enough to produce a steady drip of consciousness into us as humans? If our bodies produce DMT, psychedelic, that's how we access consciousness. What if that's what's happening inside of us? And I'm like, dude, that's the most insane thing that you could ever say. But then I went even further with it. I was like, so what if the universe and everything in it are connected and consciousness is what it is? And that's what connects everything.
You sure you never done mushrooms?
Dude, that's why it's fucked up. But this is where it gets even crazier. So I'm sending these texts to him, and think of me what you want. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan Experience. I don't care.
Shout out Joe.
But I was listening to it, and then I turn on the freaking Kai Dickens one talking about the telepathy tapes.
Yeah.
And in like 4 podcasts in a row, Joe's talking about consciousness as this like dimensional, like just exactly what I was saying to Sponge, just as a thing that popped into my head randomly out of nowhere. And it was like, what the hell is going on? And so we take it even further in like these moments of synchronicity. Are us communicating with that in some way or whatever? And so like I last week did a 24-hour fast.
Nice.
And I didn't do it on purpose. Sunday night, I didn't eat dinner because I forgot. And I was like, oh, well, I wanted to do one of these, so I'll just do it. So I did it. And I had texted Victoria previously in the week, just saying that I wanted to do one. I sent her that on Wednesday. So I told Sponge that I had done a 24-hour fast. And he was like, did I tell you that I just did a 48-hour fast this week? And he didn't tell me at all. Yeah. And so I thought back to it and I was like, wait a minute, what day did you do that? He finished his 48-hour fast the Wednesday that I texted Victoria saying I wanted to do a 24-hour one.
Synchronicities of the universe, man.
It just blows my mind. And then so while this is the same text chain, I'm like, I texted him saying, what day did you do it? I said, I mentioned this to Victoria Wednesday last week. And he's like, dude, I did it all day Monday and Tuesday and back to eating Wednesday. And my next text is, what the actual fuck? And so he says, telepathy.
Yeah, you guys are both autistic.
No, this is where, like, I'm not saying that, but so we're watching The Righteous Gemstones when he texts me this, the next text is, dude, watching Righteous Gemstones right now. Your text came in, and not even 30 seconds later, someone said, you guys talking telepathic to each other?
Oh shit. Yeah. Dude, it's that it brings up the like fundamental question. Is everything just kind of random, or is there something? And it's like, there's fucking something, you know? I went full circle. I mean, the bringing up the big dog upstairs. I used to be like, I was raised Christian, and then I had a phase of going to college and philosophy classes and expanding, you know, your brain, and then being a young skeptic, I guess. I turned into like what you would call a militant atheist on Facebook, just like being a dick and like, God isn't real, fucking idiots, da da da. And then over time and experience and meditation and psychedelics and everything, I'm just like, I think God is real, and God is energy, and God is the word we use to describe this magical thing. And then we tell each other stories to try and make sense of it all. But I think that's the root of everything. And we, like humans, how long have we actually been around, and what are we trying to explain? And it feels so much better to say, yeah, God's real and it's everything. And it's so much better that way. And I don't know. It's just because it's pretty dim if you're like, this is all just kind of random bullshit. And it's dull. But if there's some, and like if you're a skeptic, I think I saw a clip of Duncan Trussell. He puts it much better than I will. But you got nothing to lose. Like if you're a skeptic, close your eyes and just try and pray or talk to whoever. And it's like you'll either feel something or you won't, but it's not like it's a waste of time or anything. And I would bet that you'll feel something. I remember the goosebumps I got when I finally kind of closed my eyes and said, "All right, dude, let's talk," and fucking give me and just ask for something, and you'll either get that something or you'll get the opportunity to earn that something. Or you get what I'm saying. It's a full circle for me. What about you? Actually, no, you told me no politics or religion, but
we can talk about it. No, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Can I see real quick first?
Yeah, let's take a little pause.
1 second.
And we're back.
Religion. The last thing you asked was my personal view on things like that, and I'll be honest. I feel like this conversation has been very real and talking about a lot of things that people think about. So, growing up, went forced to go to church with my family a lot. Didn't want to be there. Didn't have any kind of real, I wasn't a Jesus kid or anything like that. And I had another one of those weird pop in my head moments when I was 16 or 17 years old. It was 2010. And I've told this story before, so sorry if anybody here heard it, but I was mowing the yard, and that multiversal theory that exists of every decision you make splits and makes a new, that popped into my head as I'm mowing my grass, listening to screamo music as a 15 or 16-year-old kid. I typed it into a note on my iPod Touch. I still have the exact email I sent myself in 2010 with the exact contents of that note. It is me saying, what if every decision you make, blah, 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 multiverse theory. So stuff like that had me questioning religion and all that. And I always just naturally questioned it growing up. And so I didn't know for a long time. And then I slowly connected the dots with this universe stuff, and I'm like, that's it. The universe is religion.
Yeah.
All religion is the universe. The universe is everything. And so I've taken that a step further, even now realizing this consciousness dimension, whatever you want to call it, in realizing that the universe is just consciousness. And if we're tapping into that, and that's the religious experience that some people talk about through psychedelics and all of that stuff, and what we're experiencing is just pure consciousness, then it makes so much sense to explain everything of all religions ever. And so that's kind of where my stance is on it. And I don't know how much design there is to like everything I do, because I feel like if there was design to it as a whole, then it wouldn't make sense that when I notice these like signs from the universe and I follow them, it wouldn't make sense that there's times where I do that and notice things and follow it, and I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be. And then times where I don't notice them, and it means I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be, and I got to get back to that. It feels like if everything was design, you wouldn't have both. But obviously, you could say both would. They're both are designed, and you just feel like you're having an input on it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I might disagree. I don't know if I like. I don't know how I feel about saying like intelligent design for everything, but that you could make. I immediately was just like, well, yeah, that's part of it. Like a part of the design is giving you the opportunity to fuck up and then get right. I think there is like when you know, and it's all almost intuitive. It's just like built in. Maybe it's built in, maybe it's taught, maybe it's nature versus nurture on that, but like your internal guide is you tapping into God, and like if it feels right and righteous, then you're on the right path, and if it feels wrong, then you know it's wrong. And you like it, I think that the concepts of heaven and hell like as a different place than here is wrong. I think that heaven and hell are like states of being, and I feel like I've been in hell and I've been in heaven, and I know that when I'm doing the right things and being as good of a person as I can, then I'm in heaven. And if I'm doing things against what I think, like doing bad things, then I've been to hell. Like at hell, my best example of it was I cheated on a girlfriend in my early 20s, and the hell of like living with that and knowing that I did that and not being able to be honest with her, that it felt like hell. It was like learning, self-taught heaven and hell exist here. And it's like, yeah, it's fucking, where do you even go in that conversation?
Well, so I feel like saying, if you feel like you're on the right path, it means you're doing the right thing, what you're supposed to be doing, whatever. But if you feel like you're on the wrong path, that's why I feel like it's a mixture of both. It's because it feels like if it's all by design, the wrong path is still the right path.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You can't, if it's all designed and you're going to get there no matter what.
Yeah, the wrong path is just part of the right path.
Exactly. And that can be fine, but I don't like that, because then it feels like, oh, then no matter what I do, I'm going to get to where I'm supposed to. And it doesn't feel like I should look for those things. Like, I use numbers as like signs a lot. And I pay attention to license plates when I'm driving, and I pay attention to things around me when I'm making decisions. If I'm torn on something, I'll use like, oh, there are specific times in my life.
3 threes. You know what that means?
I basically don't use that as like an insane thing, but it's like, oh, am I going to go to Sheets, or am I going to eat at home when I get home? And it's like, oh, when I was thinking about Sheets, I see a number that whatever, I guess it means I'm supposed to go to Sheets. So I just turn off, and it's an inconsequential thing. I'm not like, not making life influencing decisions. And there have been times where those simple little things I've then come later to find out had a huge impact. Like coming home from Ray's a time, and I just made that random decision based on a number, turn off. And it took me a different way home. And I realized that I missed an entire highway being shut down because of that. I was like,
That's
wow,
cool.
that
Yeah.
was weird.
Yeah.
And another thing, I made this whole big intro for talking about the religion stuff without realizing, and I skipped what I meant to get to with it, because there was a little bit there where I really like struggled with like the fear of death and what happens after you die, where I was genuinely like going to bed like anxious, just scared, like
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die one day and I don't know what happens. And then when I came to the realization and found like the clarity in this whole universe and consciousness concept, all of that went away as if it was like, oh, you figured it out.
Hell yeah.
Like you don't have any of that to be worried about anymore. And instead of it being like you have to do these things and believe these things, and if you believe these certain things, you can't be a part of it, like the hard rules of religion sometimes. And instead of being like that, it's just like you just follow the little signs from the universe and do what you're supposed to do, and it all works out. And it's not something you have to worry about. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of God. I'm not basing my life based on me being scared of God and what's going to happen to me after I die.
Yeah, the white guy in the clouds is going to smite you because you wore mixed cotton and polyester shirts. Like that's in the Bible. There's like I think with anything like this, there is the essence of it, and then there's humans doing their fuckery, and being a cult leader and shit like that. Yeah. It's a very intriguing rabbit hole. Like John Mata, he's a pro skater from here. His little brother Joey. John, really found God a couple of years ago, and just when he does something, he does it hardcore. So he's going to Bible studies and writing reports, and he's been deemed a heretic before because he's like exploring things. Like he's taking it to the next level of studying it all, and it's so fascinating to me. Like I'm not mad at it. I used to be like, oh, that's fucking lame, dude. You believe in the white guy up in the clouds, but I think I don't know. It seems like an endless exploration, because that's what we've been trying to figure out all this time as humans.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
I know. I don't mean. Yeah, I was actually about to because there is something that I was thinking about the other day that I know we failed to mention it up to this point, but we're doing a dual podcast recording, so there will be this one and one with Bobby on mine. And I want to talk about this here because I feel like this is something I thought about, and I don't want to bring it up with you necessarily because it might not. But I was getting ready for my news video yesterday, and there was something in a video that I watched, and I was like, man, I really don't like that. and I'll be honest, it was a clip where a guy was hitting 3 different handrails, and they were it looked like they were downhill from each other, so he had to slow down. And the dude's doing skid after skid after skid. And it was right up in the camera, so it could be all one shot. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was thinking about how to approach it in the news, because I wanted to talk about the video because the writing was amazing. And it was on a big name company's YouTube channel. And so I'm like, I want to talk about this, but I also don't want to just gloss over this thing that I noticed in here, and want to just maybe give an opportunity for some constructive criticism.
Yeah.
But I'm also the guy who preaches freestyle and you should be able to do anything you want to and all of this stuff. And I came to this realization of preaching about freestyle doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any standards. And I'm not saying that skidding between clips takes away from standards, because freestyle applies to your standards too, your whatever it is. But what I realized was I need to talk about this in a constructive way, and also put out there that there can be a better approach to something. And that's the way I ultimately went about it. I was I watched the video, the writing's amazing, everything else is great, but this one thing took me out of it. And if I was to offer any kind of suggestion, it was do a hop trick, do a 180 and turn it around real quick.
Yeah. Do
anything other than 8 skids right in the front of the camera, or do one really gnarly skid that looks badass. It's adding to the style of thing. And what I'm getting at is I felt like me calling that out would set off alarms in a lot of people's heads. Like, this guy always preaches about freestyle, but then he's going to criticize someone else's thing. And I was like, preaching freestyle doesn't mean no standards at all. And your standards are what they are for yourself. And you decide that.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing to talk about because it's real.
Yeah, I think that there should be standards, and I think that there should be freestyle, and you are free to do it however you want and be stoked on your 8 skids in a row. Like what I'm picturing is this kid is just like hyped on skidding. He just learned it. He's like, I'm gonna do these, but also I don't know. It could be a fucking pro for all I know. I don't know what video it is, but I think there should be standards, and it's like the, I don't know, freedom of speech thing. You're free to say whatever you want, and then I'm also free to say I don't like that. Or you're free to have opinions, and freestyle is for the free. You're not free to do everything without anybody saying negative things about it.
Exactly.
You're free to do it whatever you want, and everybody else is free to criticize the hell out of you if they want. And so, yeah,
that's kind of where it landed in my head. Was like, it feels like in BMX, there's a lot of times where you're only allowed to have one opinion. And I even fall victim to this when I'm talking about things. As I said earlier, I sometimes talk in absolutes and I talk generally as if what I'm saying is like law and it's the only thing that is allowed. But what this whole entire thing led me to realize is like, it's all there. It all exists. Freestyle and standards is all there, and it's all up to the person who's talking about it. And just because I've always preached about freestyle doesn't mean I also can't say that I feel like there should be standards for certain things.
Yeah, 100%.
It was a moment of self-reflection, basically.
That's real. I struggled a lot with all of that, and like holding my opinions back on my own podcast out of fear of, you know, saying something. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to say fuck it and just say your opinion. And then if you're wrong, you can, or if you like, you know what I mean, you're allowed to change your mind. And fucking, it's so much more entertaining to hear somebody talk in absolutes than it is to hear somebody go through the tedious process of explaining how everything can be seen from both sides. And yes, I can see this, but if you look at it, you know what I mean? It's just like, no, it's way more fun to just be like, no, that fucking sucked. You know what I mean?
But it's, and the thing about it is like, when you just go, yeah, that sucked, and you have no like objective base for why you're saying that, then that's when it feels like it's like, well, maybe at least have some sort of reasoning for why you're saying that. So it's like, it feels unreasonable to just be like, yeah, that sucked, and that's the end of it. But then at the same time, you say, I think this sucked, and here's why, and here's how it could be improved in my eyes. Then all of a sudden, this kind of shitty mindset turns into a constructive one. And I think what BMX has lacked for so long is that there's been just that sucked without the here's some ways to improve.
Yeah, because like I think that it's in our nature to do that, especially when we're teenagers. All the younger kids are like, oh, that's fucking lame, you know, like, and it's not even that they actually think something's lame. It's that they're trying to make themselves. It's not about putting the other person down. It's about raising themselves up and being part of the in group. Well, because that bothers me too. When people only complain about stuff, or just like there's something like magnetic or not for me, it's polarizing the opposite. But like if you complain about something to somebody and then that other person agrees, like fuck that person, you know, that sucks or whatever. It's just like. That's a cheap way to bond with somebody.
Yeah.
And I notice it a lot. Can't stand it. So I call it out. I'm like, hey, you're being negative. Why? You know, like, this is ridiculous.
I really do feel like we need more of that in BMX. Like I remember another thing that was recent, Ralph posting that mental health Instagram reel, just talking about that. And that is an awesome thing, but there was something about it that kind of was upsetting to me, not in what he was saying, but in the way people were acting about it, in that everyone is supportive of it. Everyone's adding like their 2 cents of like, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, and mental health is so important, all of this. But then when we see a meme page shitting on somebody, we see everybody dogpiling, and like in a moment where a real mental health situation arises, we get people dogpiling and adding to it. But then whenever someone notable talks about how important mental health is, everyone is like, yeah, mental health is super important. Unless we're talking shit about this guy, then we're all going to dogpile on that one. And it's like
a little hypocritical, isn't it?
It's a little upsetting to see that happen whenever it's cherry picking when you're going to feel a certain way and adhere to certain values. And it really sucks when that happens in BMX.
Yeah,
it happens a lot.
Yeah, it's a immature man's game this year, BMX. Because if you think about it, like you get into it when you're like, I mean, for me it was like 15, 16, some people younger, but then like you're good and you're getting, you're putting videos out, like it's all 20-year-olds, and it's like, of course it's going to be a toxic online environment. Like I caught wind that the bottle kids at my premiere are talking shit about how much B-roll was in the video, and I was just like, of course they were. They're fucking 22. Like I remember I was 20 at an Interbike tweeting at Ride BMX, get these old fucks off the stage, put Nigel Sylvester up there. Because I just didn't have any context about legends and shit. And I remember Fudger tweeting back, you're a dumb shit or something like that. And that was the end of my BMX Twitter career. But it's just, young people still learning, and then some people never do. They grow up and they're just salty, and everything's everybody else's fault, and no empathy. There's a lot of people suck, and no matter what industry, it's gonna suck.
So my whole like point in talking about it, because I made my own little Instagram story talking about what I just was saying. My whole point in doing all of that was like, mental health, yes, is really important. So instead of cherry picking when we're going to care about it, and if we're shitting on this guy on the internet, we're all going to dogpile on it. And when Ralph Sinisi's talking about it, we're all going to agree. BMX as a community needs to start calling people out when they're assholes on the internet or in person or whatever. Like, just start actually doing, like, being about what you're saying whenever someone notable talks about it and you agree with them.
Yeah.
Like, teach those 20-year-olds, like, yeah, talking shit about B-roll is one thing where it's like, oh yeah, you you just B-roll something, but or like piling on to somebody at the skate park for real, not just kidding around, like actually being a dick to them,
like bullying type shit.
Yeah, like, hey, that's not cool. And if we have no one telling someone what they're doing isn't cool, then it just continues and grows from there.
Yeah. Why don't you have a beard?
Because
do you shave every day?
I have to, but I don't. So sometimes it gets a little out there.
Have you ever grown it out? It looks like you could have like a proper fucking beard.
I could. I haven't. I've only grown it to like a ½ inch probably.
Let's go, dog. 2025. Bearded Brant. Dude.
I hate the way it feels.
What? It feels so good when it's like medium. I think long beard fucking might suck, but I can't even do it. My shit looks like pubes. It's curly. It's not good.
I just don't like it, man. I don't know. Something about the way it feels on my face.
Didn't you also have a haircut recently?
My January 1st haircut.
Yeah.
My new year, new me.
It's all back.
I'm tired of the haters. That was, that was the best day of the year.
Why? Was it a joke? Did you not do it? Wait, I remember seeing a picture of you with a haircut, right? Was it AI?
Yes. It was generative AI in Photoshop. So nice. I got a haircut on New Year's Day. And I always take a picture of the hair on the ground because it's a big old pile, and it's always funny when a couple people reply like, "Oh my God." And I realized it's the first day of the year. I could play a New Year new me joke
Nice.
and make everybody think I cut my hair off. And I said it was because of the haters. Like, I'm done with the haters, cutting it all off. And no exaggeration, like 100, 200 people replied to that story with the haircut. And I at a certain point, it was definitely like premeditated, where I knew what was going to happen. And part of it became me proving a point that way too many grown men care about the hair of another grown man.
Yeah.
That it became like a topic in BMX.
Yeah.
Like all these people on the internet, and I knew meme pages were going to grab it. I knew it would become a thing. And I was like, I knew how silly it would make people look when they and that became part of the thing. It almost became like a manifesto, where I was like, I know this is going on meme pages, and I know it's going to become a topic in BMX. And so my first news podcast stream thing of the year, I made this new intro. Did you see what I'm talking about? Okay, so it all led to this thing where I did a new intro for it. I have a countdown before my news. It's a 2-minute countdown. And instead of my music playing for the whole thing that I normally have, it cut partway in, and it was the what the hell's the band? Bulls on Parade.
Oh, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, it was the Rage Against the Machine call, where it's like, fuck you, I won't do what you told me. And it's just repeating that for a second. Then it cuts back to my music. And then repeating that. And then at a certain point, it just plays where the breakdown comes in. It's like, fuck you. And as the timer ends and I shut it off, it's an empty seat. And it's just that part of the song playing.
Beautiful.
And I sit down.
You go like this?
No, I sit down like this. So I sat down, I tucked all my hair in so no one could, everyone would think it was real. And so I start talking about how silly it is that this thing that is supposed to be a counterculture, it's supposed to be this place where people can go when they're not accepted anywhere else, is also this place where if you're not conform, if you're not like everyone else, it's a problem. And I basically just broke it down. I was like asking the question, like, if you were one of the people who saw my Instagram story and were like, oh, good, he finally cut that hair, or anything like that, I was like, why? Really think for a second. So why did you think that? And and then you realize, when you think about it for a second, that it's like this selfish mindset of like, my opinions about this dude's hair should matter to him more than his feelings about his own hair. And he should cut it because of the way I feel about it. And so I had this like 5-minute long like speech where I talk about all this stuff. And it gets to a certain point, and I was like, if you really thought that I cut my hair, like, did you really? And then I take my hat off and I shake my head. It's like, and it was like, I would never, and I will never conform to what someone else thinks I should do.
Fuck yeah, you gotta do what you want to do. I want to see you. I want to see you with a buzz cut and a beard, bro.
AI. You got the green screen already here.
Yeah, I did that shit. What did I do? I gave myself a proper full beard and a bald head, and I was like, damn, that fool's tough. Like, it's pretty cool.
Regenerative Phil?
Yeah, I think it was before Photoshop had it, but just a little face swap app. Dude, we're pushing 3 hours. Let's go. Let's go to those staples. Let's hear, what are you most proud of in your BMX career?
Oh, okay. I mean, the first, and I might have to like make it a multi-part thing because it's all kind of from the same thing, in that I have remained myself and only ever done exactly what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it on my bike.
That's very cool.
Ever since I started. And that gave me the ability, and my hard work with making edits and traveling and making shit happen for myself gave me the ability to take a 4-foot prefab quarter pipe at a prefab skate park and make something in BMX from that.
Lip Lords.
And that was part of my goal once Lip Lords became a thing. It was like, I want to be the dude who says that he kind of made it using a 4-foot prefab skate park in the middle of a farm town in Ohio, so that I can show everyone else that it doesn't matter what you have to ride or where you can make things happen, and you don't even have to move to do it. Yeah. I never moved.
Just find a curb. Your 4-foot quarter pipe is my mani pad, little curb mani pad. That's what I love.
Curb Lords. And it's been amazing to see how far that's gone. And then now, like, I can't say for sure, but I saw like manual lords, tape lords, like all these other lords pages that came after Lip Lords. And I was like, well, I don't know. Cool. I don't think you can say definitively that it came from that, but it sure shit feels like it.
Yeah, probably did.
Which is amazing. And that Tape Lords one is like huge.
Yeah. Everybody loves a tabletop.
Yeah. So
I'd be proud of that too, man. That's good. That's two answers.
That's kind of, it's like, that's the thing that I will hold on to, and just being myself so authentically that it allowed me to make whatever you'd call what I've done in BMX happen.
Yeah. I've never really asked this one, but the way that Mount Rushmore became a question was me, Lufa, Clay, and Troy at a bar. And the question was, who's your Mount Rushmore of people that are good at riding, but you hate watching? I'm wondering if you're willing to name one. I don't know if I'm willing to do it. In private, over a beer, I would.
I will absolutely do it, because I can recognize that someone's really good at riding while not enjoying watching it happen.
Sick. Hit me with it.
I gotta think for a second, man. I spend so much time thinking about like people that I'd love to watch ride.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is a cop-out answer or not, but I feel like it's people who are so hyper-focused on one, like very, very, like they are only inside their box and won't go outside of it whatsoever.
I can see that. Yeah.
Stuff like that is hard to watch, because when it's all the exact same thing for
Pixar
the
3.
Yeah. Well, no, not Pixar 3. I can appreciate a good Pixar. But if it's all that it is in the video, honestly, if a video is just good and the writing is genuinely good and that it's well put together, I can enjoy anything from anyone. It's when if it's the exact same trick or a very similar thing throughout the entire video, on repeat, that it becomes hard to watch.
I agree. Now name names.
I'm trying so hard to think of like a specific person or thing. Like, I really want to come up with something like, and this isn't even like negative at all. I can't get super into watching really core street videos where it's very basic riding, but on like a difficult to do spot, or even if it doesn't look
spot based riding.
Like, I love when it's okay. I'll be more specific with it. Spot based riding where it's forcing a certain trick to be done on the spot rather than doing what the spot called for.
Nice.
Like figuring out, using your creativity to figure out something you can do that the spot is calling for from you, rather than just doing the feeble 180 or feeble
when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and if you can only do Smith grinds, everything looks like a fucking ledge to do Smith grinds on, you know?
Right. And so, like, that's not a specific name, but that doing things, forcing your your idea of whatever onto a spot when a very obvious, like, it kills me when you see someone riding a super crazy looking spot just doing a stock trick on it when you're like, dude, you could have done this and used that. And
Yeah.
I think it's because I rode with Hamilton so much
Yeah.
growing up that, or when I was in college. And what I was going to get at earlier, talking about the feeling of editing, is that that's what I got from him with riding, because he would do stuff until it felt right. He didn't care how it looked. He's like, oh, that didn't feel right. And so watching the way he would look at a spot, like he'll pull up to a rail and then he'll go and find a freaking trash pallet with something on it. And then he'll set it up and he'll do something that you never, ever could have imagined when somebody else is going to show up to the spot and just do another Peg's easy 180.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that would be like all the people who are really, really good, but
no taste.
Don't put their own personal style into the things that they ride.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also fun to watch them go through that and then eventually put out a video where it's like, fuck yeah, they get it now. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Elstrand is such a perfect example of someone who he went from everything was crazy and weird and out of the box. It was all his videos. He'd have the occasional crazy foot jam variation with 8 different foot jams in one thing, to his videos today are like progressive street riding where he's doing crazy shit on street spots, but then also doing weird stuff at the same time.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's so awesome. Like someone said the other day that Eric Elstrand gets hate, and
I've never heard it.
And I was like, how? I don't understand how anyone could hate on what he's doing.
Yeah, no. I can't see it either. Maybe the fucking bottle kids are talking shit. All right, let's see. I think Mount Rushmore now. Who's your personal Mount Rushmore? Not the objectively. Don't try and answer it correctly. Just who's your Mount Rushmore?
I only have one.
You need 4, dog.
Sponge 4 times.
Sponge. No, Dylon, and Dylon.
I'll give the 4 answer. Sponge is just mine because he's literally a superhero to me. And I remember showing up to the skate park the first time ever, watching him do this line, and I filmed it on my Moto Razor. And I was like, awesome, while he's doing it. And I wholeheartely believe the dude can do anything anyone has ever done on a bike if he tried to do it. And like all of those people I grew up riding with were my Mount Rushmore superheroes, to the point where I didn't need to watch videos. I didn't need to know about anybody else, because they were I got to ride with them all the time.
That's magic.
And so like all those guys were my original like Mount Rushmore people. If I talk about Mount Rushmore of pros, obviously take Sponge on there, and you have 3 others. I really enjoy watching, like Tom Justice is a Mount Rushmore of BMX in
he's great.
How well-rounded and irregular and opposite in every single genre of BMX. He can do it. Scotty Kramer at his peak, same exact feel.
Yeah.
He could ride anything and everything and just absolutely destroy it. And honestly, the theme of the Mount Rushmore is the all-around everything rider. And to this day, like Dennis Anderson, man, I think
he truly can do it all. Literally nothing he can't do.
Exactly. I feel like you put Dennis, Tom Justice, Scotty Kramer at his peak together in a video. Oh my God, imagine.
Bring him to a shop stop and call it a stunt show and get all the moms on the block to come hang out.
Yeah, that's such a crazy one to answer, because you could do the lip trick Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
You could do the street riding Route Mushmore.
Route Rushmore.
And I'd have different answers for all of them. And if you asked me next week, it would probably be a different answer.
Yeah, same.
For
Like
this.
when you were talking about Sponge being on yours, I was like, yeah, I think Drew Hosselton, Eric Ballman, like it's the ones that I got to ride with that I looked up to. Casey Badger, I remember seeing at the skate park. I sat next to him when I was like 18 on my bike, and I watched him go and roast a fucking hip, and I was like, wow.
Just that magic of
And then
watching.
fucking Lufa. You know who Lufa is? Speaking of our friends, you got Sponge, I got Lufa. Lufa's the best.
Showering
Shower accessory.
like just to like give the praise to Sponge for people, because unless you've seen Lip Lords or seen his raise edits that I've made or ridden with him, you can't know the pure level of doesn't make sense. Like the dude 15 years ago randomly on the phone or whatever was saying, yeah, I want to do X up nose manuals. Whew. And I am a naive kid, not even understanding what the significance of it. And I'm filming it at our skate park because he does it over the box jump. And he's like making it look easy. Yeah, he takes it hard a couple times, but he makes it look easy. And I'm like, oh, that was cool. And it wasn't until really traveling and really seeing everybody in BMX that I realized how like special some of the stuff is, where I'm just like, hey, you think you could do like an X up foot jam? And he's like, oh, I did one like 10 years ago. I could whatever. And then like an hour later, we got the clip filmed and it's going to be in Lip Lords. And you bring up these tricks and he's like, yeah, I did that.
Nose manual is crazy, actually.
Oh, it's insane. I still have yet to see anyone else do it. And he did it. I don't even know how many years ago. And then he did another one at Ray's. And I feel like if I told him to right now, and we were at the skate park and he was in the mood, he could just bust one out.
I want to see it. Does he like reach a balance point where his weight's fully on the nose? Or is he like doing the like come out of a lip so you're floating through it?
Search on your computer on YouTube. You can watch it right now. It'll take you 5 seconds to pull it up. Go to YouTube and type Josh Deal, Diehl. Josh Deal nose manuals. And Diehl nose manuals. And it'll be a Brantmore 13 YouTube channel.
Whoa. Hold on.
It's insane.
Yeah. That is actually.
And he did a couple of them. Oh, sick. We can pull it up. I like that.
What the fuck?
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
And that was 12 years ago. And then there's this nose manual where he just robotically gets to that balance point and holds it. So
early for a half cap nose, like the half cap nose was not common 12 years ago.
So remember, I don't know if you remember, but people remember Premium did a nose manual contest to win a frame. And Colin McKay messaged me on Facebook because I think Sponge won, but I didn't see it until years later. And so I think they gave it to somebody else because I didn't see it for him to get like the prize.
Fuck, man.
Isn't that crazy though?
That's so cool.
And that was just casual. He was working on it. And to be honest with you, he wanted to bar out. And
oh wow, does he throw with his right? Yeah, right.
He would throw an opposite bar with it. Or no, it would have been regular. So there was stuff like that. And then when we were filming our first ever edit that we made together, we're at Changa 2 and he's like, yeah, I want to do an overtooth on the hitching post. And you hear that and you're like, oh shit, overtooth on a hitching post. He told me that when we're there and I'm like, okay, where do you want me to be? I have no idea that it's the level that it is. And that was our whole entire riding experience, is that like he's doing this stuff and I'm telling him to do stuff from my head and he's just doing it. And I have no idea how actually crazy it is.
Yeah, gifted motherfucker.
Yeah, so
there's always those, you know, they like deserves worldwide recognition, doesn't really get it, but is just the best bike rider, you know.
He could have had it too. He had an opportunity. All he had to do to be part of Mutiny, because he was really good friends with Justin Simpson.
Yeah.
All he had to do was film a video, and that's just not what he cared about.
That's what's up. He's on Team Pup and Suds.
There we go. Soul skater.
Good podcast. 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm stoked on this. I'm glad that you hit me up literally yesterday, I think.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man. You said, yeah, we never did it, even though you asked. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, join the list, man. There's like 30 people that I've hit up that we never made it happen.
Yeah, I have a couple of those myself. I'm sorry.
Sorry, guys.
You guys know who you are. Hit me up. But
Dan Conway, I'm sorry.
It'll happen. Just hit
will.
me up. If I asked you to do one, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna record mine. You want to do it now?
Yeah, sure. Might as well. Let's take 5 and then get back to it. Yeah, why not?
Right, well,
I don't think I got anything else going on.
To wrap yours up, I want to say thank you to everybody who supports what I do, whether it's watching or sponsoring my YouTube channel with the members or like super chats and stuff. There's a lot of those awesome people. Aaron Moravik is a huge one. Karinsky family, but then all the companies and people that own them that believe in what I do, even to this day, like Carl at Nowhere, Mueller and Melissa, S&M and Fit, some Park Tool, like working with Park Tool still for this long. They still have me on their website.
That's cool.
The Jaywalkers Pants Company. If you haven't tried them, it's worth trying. Save some money on them. Shadow Riding Gear still sends me helmets and stuff when I need them. And Alienation has been like crazy for me, dude. Like most of the parts on my bike are parts that I had a hand in like with the design of, in that like I was already riding a certain peg and then we made a more production version of it that could go out everywhere. My brakes, my hubs, my pedals. Like I gave Zach the idea for plastic pedals with metal pins in 2016 or something like that. And riding them now, it's crazy. And some of the stuff we're working on, like this, a brake lever. I didn't even ask. He hit me
nice.
About making a brake lever. And it's just one of those things where it feels meant to be. And I'm riding all these parts that I got to have a say in that I would already be riding something similar to.
Yeah.
So I feel really lucky to be where I'm at and be able to do the stuff I do.
That's a good feeling to have, and gratitude is fucking beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
It's good to be grateful.
Yes. So thanks for listening, and we're going to pick up the conversation in mine.
Fuck yeah. I think my only thing that I'm not going to record separately is go to shopmediocre.com and get yourself a fucking trip t-shirt, you know?
Buy a trip t-shirt because the direct support helps people like Bobby and myself more than you can realize. And we all know nobody's making a living just as a BMX rider these days.
Yeah. If you don't fucking buy a shirt, I'm not going to do the podcast anymore. Just give it. All right. That was good. Thank you guys. Okay. That's the end. Go subscribe to Brant's YouTube channel. And, I don't know, man. I got nothing to tell you guys. Is there anything I need to... Please go watch Mediocre at Best or go to shopmediocre.com and get a shirt. You can get this motherfucker, or you can get whatever color you want, pretty much. And the comfort colors blanks, I'm a big fan of. So shout out Peep Game and Steve. I don't know why. I just thought of them. They're dropping those Devin Smiley shoes. Go buy some of those. Then I'll see you on a live stream, or I'll see you in the next episode. And I just appreciate your time. And I hope that you enjoyed this conversation with me and Brant. Okay, bye.